Chapter 1028 Snow Peak Four Elders. Chapter 1028 Snow Peak Four Elders. Proofreader, Papatonks. Sure, as long as the people from Western lands agree. He gave Chu Qingcheng a long look and understood the situation, that it would not help Zhuofan's case either way. By looking at their hands so tightly held, Ouyang Lingtian had a guess as to what they might be. There was no reason not to indulge him this small request, and nodded he couldn't just as well turn antagonistic, not before having an idea of who Zhuofan was, where he came from, and the side he took. Zhuofan gave a smile and a nod, then turned to Shui Ruohua. She got the idea. Seeing how Chu Qingcheng and him were so close, it might actually work in Chu Qingcheng's favor and help her recover faster. She gave her approval and let go of Chu Qingcheng's hands. Chu Qingcheng showed a faint smile. Finally at Zhuofan's side, and sticking to his arm like glue, Seabright Sec's elder escorted Zhuofan and the guards under careful watch. Just like prisoners, Shangguan Qingyan witnessed from the side with worry for Zhuofan on one hand and confusion on the other. Zhuofan had never been thoughtful to any woman around her, to the point he'd even do all he could not to disturb her sleep. But who is she? Junior's sister, Shui. What is going on? Who is he? And why did you let Junior's sister, Qingqing, go with him? I don't know either, but they seem to be very close. Qingqing felt at peace around him. I believe that letting her stay with him will help her recover. Wu Qingqiu rushed to Shui Ruohua for an answer. But she didn't know much else either. Yan Mo grumbled. How can you be so careless? He's too much of an enigma and has the Seabright sect watching him. By letting Chu Qingqing go with him, might end up with using her as a shield in the end. How are we going to save her then? In Seabright Sec's home, no less. They wouldn't just cave under his conditions just because you're a Western lands disciple. What else was I supposed to do? You saw it too. Her hands were glued to him and wouldn't let go. Her mind is lost, so of course she's being hard on us. Don't you get that simple truth? Why you? Yan Mo and Shui Ruohua bickered, with Wu Qingqiu frowning in thought. He then rushed over and cupped his hands at Ouyang Lingtian. Senior Ouyang, my junior sister with a frail mind has now gone with that unknown man. I only ask Senior to look after her if anything happens. I understand you don't have to say it, but there's no need to worry, since he has no ill will towards your junior sister. Ouyang Lingtian cut him off with a dismissive wave. Wu Qingqiu looked lost. Senior, how are you so sure? His feelings for your junior sister are plain to see, and she leans on him too. This can't be faked. Ouyang Lingtian spoke. I've been around for many years and can read a situation. Your junior sister will be in complete safety at his side. Ha ha ha. Ouyang Lingtian laughed and patted his shoulder, then left them there confused. Ouyang Lingtian walked to his son and raised his hand, making Ouyang Changqing tuck his head and kneel with a sullen look. Ouyang Lingtian watched his reckless and wild son with gnashed teeth, lowering his hand in the end, resorting to chiding. Damn it, boy, have you any idea what storm you stirred today? You not only caused so much harm to your fellow disciples, sealed as they are, needing to be taken to Heaven's Sealing Pavilion to recover, you also force me to take the Heaven's Sealing Sword from its place, weakening the barrier. What if Invincible Sword used this chance to strike? If the sect fell, it would all be on you. I need to get the sword back at once and report to sect leader about Steward Qian. Once everything is settled, I'll come deal with you. Ouyang Lingtian flicked his sleeve and flew away, leaving Ouyang Changqing with a pained gaze and disgruntled face. Then I wish for it to never settle. As long as Dad's busy, he won't deal with me. This Ouyang Changqing. Murong Shui could read him like a book, shaking her head and saying, Yenner, don't you think he hasn't matured one bit? Yenner, Shangguan Qingyan wasn't there though. Wu Qingqiu had got Ouyang Lingtian's answer and consoled his group before leaving, as well as he went. Wu Qingqiu's mind was deep in thought. Shui Ruohua suddenly found her path blocked by someone unexpected. Miss, are you? Shangguan Qingyan from Eastern Lands. She made a bow. Shui Ruohua looked puzzled. Miss Shangguan, why have you suddenly appeared like this? I want to know everything about that lady, down to the smallest detail. Can you tell me? Shangguan Qingyan looked straight in Shui Ruohua's eyes. Shui Ruohua started in confusion. Why is she interested in Qingqing? Shui Ruohua gauged her restless eyes and nodded in the end. An hour later, the moon now replaced the sun in the sky. As the night fell, a flash of light appeared on beyond Heaven Island, on the highest pavilion, connecting it to the sky, making it a true abode of immortals. Ouyang Lingtian appeared here, walking towards the copper pillar, 2 meters tall by half-meter wide. Covered in signs that glowed faintly, he took a deep breath and presented the heaven-sealing sword with utmost respect. I have borrowed the divine sword and now come to return it. I ask the 4 venerables to activate the barrier and put the divine sword in its rightful place. Ha ha ha, that was quick. An aged voice echoed in the pavilion, followed by the appearance of 4 elders with white beards on each side of the copper pillar. Lingtian, we have lent the sword on account of the sect being in mortal danger. Now that you have come to return it, we would like some answers. Ouyang Lingtian shook his head. The misfortune of the sect came upon by my wretched son, almost unleashing a calamity. Ouyang Lingtian sighed and gave a full account of the events. The elders turned grave. Chongqing is a good seed with his amazing talent, but it got to his head and affects his mind. The stronger he is, the bigger the fall. Lingtian, he's your son, and you need to set him straight. Regardless of his great future, it will only bring glory to the sect as long as he walks on the righteous path. But if he turns evil, the world will suffer. He cannot be indulged. I shall take Venerable's advice to heart. Ouyang Lingtian felt ashamed. The 4 made signs, and the barrier on the pillar opened. 1 elder gestured, and the heaven-sealing sword in Ouyang Lingtian's hands flew above the copper pillar. Hovering quietly, the elders changed their signs, and the barrier was restored. The heaven-sealing sword shone brightly in an icy blue glow. But with the barrier in place, it did not travel far. Sucked in by the copper pillar, the entire sect's barrier shook then and took on an icy blue glow, mystical and enchanting. The 4 elders nodded. Now the sect barrier is strong and peace is restored. Not even invincible sword can get in. Ha ha ha. Yes, venerables, I shall now take my leave, as I have matters to discuss with sect leader. Patriarch bowed. The 4 waved him off, and he withdrew. Their eyes, however, failed to notice a delicate shadow watching on like a viper. That's why there's not a guard around Heaven-sealing Pavilion. The strongest 4 sword guardians. Snow Peak 4 elders. Watch it. The pillar's shadow wiggled, and Bali Yu appeared in the darkness, looking at the 4 elders with a frown. The 4 combined have the power of a sword king, just as strong as Ouyang Lingtian. Getting the sword will be difficult, not to mention a long battle that will draw in more trouble. What to do? Chapter 1029, Desperate Measures. Chapter 1029, Desperate Measures. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bali Yu stared hard at the 4 elders from the shadows, hesitation plaguing her heart. Zhuo Fan had her take the sword tonight, but it was obvious that wouldn't go as smoothly in the best sect of northern lands, even for a sword king like herself. God damn it, what now? I'm not good when it comes to thinking. Bali Yu couldn't see any way out of this. What would that punk do? Seeing him always coming up with a plan for everything, then this situation oughtn't be any different. Why can't I think of anything then? She was scrounging up all the brain power she could muster for a way out, though she still came up empty. Ah, the heaven-sealing sword was behind a barrier and was also powering it. That meant she no longer had any way of taking it by force. To say nothing of the 4 strong elders guarding it, it was a flawless defense that she had no way of breaching. Should I just go back and ask him? Thinking about it, Bali Yu's mind wandered, but then shook the thought away. No, I agreed to take the sword tonight. Getting stuck and going to him for help will only make him laugh at me. I am the great frigid rain, Sword King, for crying out loud. Though it's clear that force won't give me any result. What do I do then? What's more, I can't see any way of passing the unbreakable defense. So what could he do? Yeah, he can't do anything either. Besides, he had me come here to scout, while taking the sword over an afternoon is too hasty. His plan's the one with issues here, having nothing to do with me. Even if I dump this problem on him, he can't solve it either. Yep, definitely no solution. So there's no indignity in going back with an unsolvable problem. Bali Yu found the perfect excuse and simply gave up. She blended with the darkness and slipped away. She was going to Juefan to complain about this impossible task, although Juefan had other matters to attend to at the moment, with the Sea Bright sect setting its eyes on him. In the Sea Bright sect's hall, Ouyang Lingtian stepped lightly and was stunned by what he saw besides sect leader Ling Yuntian. There was also Exalted He Ran and Sun Siseks Buxingyan Ouyang Lingtian, soon came to a realization and bowed. Sect leader, I assume you know. Of course. Ling Yuntian pointed at the two. Exalted He Ran and sect leader Bu had explained everything. I knew there was something special about Steward Qian, but even I didn't think he'd be so extraordinary. I'm stunned to hear that he destroyed a spirit formed by the worldly power in one blow. You know as well as I that only with the help of a divine sword can we hope to fight back when the power of the world converges. Bu Xingyun rolled his eyes. Sect leader Ling, why are you still praising him? He's a spy, Central Areas. My sect has already found him out. This only proves it. That's too soon to tell. Exalted He Ran waved. His skills are baffling and equally strong, but there's little evidence to support he came to see Bright Sect for nefarious reasons. Wild speculation will only harm the innocent. Harm an innocent? What kind of good can a man of unknown background bring in coming to see Bright Sect? If not a Central Area spy, what, here to wish long life at sect leader Ling's birthday? So what if he is innocent? In these times of crisis, desperate measures are a must, like culling all unknown elements. Absolutely not. It will only bring more problems if we just kill without finding out who he is. Exalted He Ran refuted that proposal, frowning at the dreaded outcome Bu Xingyun mocked. Are you talking about the buzzing news about Devil Mountain's calamity? Humph! Exalted He Ran must now be paranoid. First of all, no one has ever seen Devil Mountain, and it can just as well be fake. Secondly, even if it's real, you think its disciples are all over the place? You think you're just going to bump into one at every step? The chances this time are high. Exalted He Ran winced. His strength is beyond comprehension. How many youths in the lands can match him? Who else but Devil Mountain could bring about such a disciple? If he does come from there, all the more reason we cannot mess with him. Devil Mountain must have sapped all your nerves. If Devil Mountain's disciple is against northern lands, are we just going to watch with a smile? Devil Mountain never involves itself with secular matters. As long as we don't touch them, they won't bother us either. What if they touch us? No, this has never happened before. All right. Ling Yuntian stepped in their quarrel, shouting, "This is the Sea Bright sect. We decide how we handle suspects here. It's not your problem to consider." The two huffed in anger. Ling Yuntian sighed and said, "Ling Tian, how did you deal with him?" "I dared not do anything without sect leader's approval. From what I've learned of his actions, he is not just anyone and would not make things harder. For now, the elders have sealed their Yuan Qi and placed it behind a barrier, awaiting sect leader's orders." "And what about the matter of the sealed soaring sword?" Ling Yuntian asked. Ouyang Lingtian shook his head. The sealing and breaking ways from the heaven-sealing sword we know of should be supreme. But it seems this seal on soaring sword is so strange that neither method or any other work. It makes us wonder who the culprit could be to know of such incredible sealing. We will need time to research it before we can break it. Shangguan Feixiong is one stubborn fool, insisting on releasing the seal all by himself, even after half a year of fruitless results. If it hadn't been for us two old men stumbling upon this 3 days ago, we might have never known. Ha ha ha. Exalted He Ran sighed. Ouyang Lingtian nodded. He Ran, you have the cheek to say that? You'd never tell us either. It'd still be in the dark if it weren't for Morong Lai calling me to help. The old coot had us keep our lips sealed, so he wouldn't look bad. You two geezers have no sense of priorities to actually agree with him. Ouyang Lingtian rolled his eyes. Ling Yuntian turned grave. The unsealing of the soaring sword takes the highest priority as of now. Once the seal is lifted and all leaders of every land gathered, we can then investigate Steward Qian and discuss how to address the issue. They all agreed, with only Bu Xingyin grumbling. Just kill him and be done with it. Also, Ling Yuntian glared at him. Sect leader Bu, you're in Sea-Bright sect. Could you please respect our rules? Keep your eyes to yourself. Ugh. Bu Xingyun winced. Sect leader Ling. What's that supposed to mean? Ha ha ha. Sect leader Bu is sure to know. In the Sea-Bright sect, I know everything that's happening. You had your disciple monitor, Qian Fan's group. How else would you have known so fast and be the first to report to me on this matter? I am only doing it for the safety of Sea-Bright sect. Sect leader Ling, please don't misunderstand. Bu Xingyun gave a forced smile paw. Ling Yuntian patted his shoulder with a smile. If sect leader Bu wants me not to misunderstand, then please take actions that aren't subjected to suspicion. Try not to overstep again. Bu Xingyun gave him a long look and shook as he nodded. This guy ain't as kind on the inside as on the outside. In a rather spacious cell, Zhuo Fan's team sat calmly with their cultivation sealed. The walls were unbreakable, and even many spatial barriers in place to prevent any from getting out. Shower was the only one overlooked. The Sea-Bright sect elders buying into her actually genuine childish act. How tough could a child be? Zhuo Fan looked calm, ignoring the dark mood in the cell. Holding on to the pretty girl's hand, sir. What do we do now? It's completely opposite from our plan. One guard asked. Zhuo Fan shook his head. If the plan can't keep up with reality, it can only adapt to include the changes. At worst, we'll be waiting a few days in here before we get to work. They're not letting us out of their sights. Is Sir that sure? Why else would I be so calm? Now stop talking. Zhuo Fan glared at him and sighed as he turned to the numb Chu Qingqing. I'm happy that this at least lets us be together. With how dangerous the trip to the North Sea is, even one moment more is enough. Clap. Clapping resounded in the empty place, followed by laughter. Ha ha ha, I was right. Brother Zhuo, it's really you. You're still alive and finally came back. Chapter 1030, Constant Visitation. Chapter 1030, Constant Visitation. Proofreader, Papatonks. With a shaky brow behind the eagle mask, Zhuo Fan looked beyond the bars on reflex. The jail door opened with a creak, and the unchanged figure of Wu Qingqiu stepped in before him with a pleased smile. He looked in excitement as he got closer and closer to Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan shook his head with a chuckle. What gave it away? Of everyone on this heaven's green earth, only Brother Zhuo would ever feel so much love for junior sister Qingqing. This goes both ways as well, with junior sister Qingqing only ever trusting Brother Zhuo from the bottom of her heart. Wu Qingqiu's eyes shone and sighed. I had a hard time believing that a good friend who has been gone for so many years would appear before me. It was thanks to Senior Ouyang's words that had me jump to such a wild conclusion. He said you would never harm junior sister out of love, and he was right. That leaves only you who has such undying love for her. Thus the only solution, however impossible, and no matter how unlikely the person, is the most probable, for which I have come to see if you're real. Zhuo Fan shook his head. He traced the eagle mask and slowly lowered it. Brother Wu is wise beyond his years. You found me out. Without me, or Yi Lin back then, Western lands would have had you as its best disciple. Brother Wu is without equal. I knew it. Why you're really here. Ignoring his words, Wu Qingqiu took in his calm smile and sharp eyes as emotions overwhelmed him. He needed a good minute to get his heart to calm down. It was truly a shot in the darkest of abysses, yet it ended up being real. Where have you been all these years, even leaving your wife behind? Zhuo Fan looked back and said nothing. Wu Qingqiu glanced at the ever-soothed yet vacant Chu Qingqing on his arm with a crestfallen look. A man always wants to leave his mark. Whatever business you had that needed finishing, no one could have stopped you. Junior sister Qingqing is very reasonable and would have let you go. The least you could have done was to come back safely and not do this to junior sister. Her hair not only turned white, but she also closed her mind to everyone. As for you, I see you've recovered from your pain by the looks of your fine black hair, doing quite well for yourself. I barely recognized you. Wu Qingqiu's tone held some blame and anger at how Zhuo Fan treated Chu Qingqing, who he saw as a good sister. Zhuo Fan had no retort, taking in all of his rebuke. You have been someone we admire the most, especially by Yenemo and of course by little junior brother. Wu Qingqiu glared at him. You've excelled in mind and in strength, earning our full respect. When we heard that you had been killed, many of us wanted revenge. We had taken upon ourselves to take care of the widow you left behind. Even that rampant Yenemo is thoughtful towards junior sister Qingqing. All because everyone in our generation sees you as the true best in Western lands. And what did you do? Faked your death and vanished for 4 or 5 years. You have let down junior sister Qingqing, who has always been hoping for your return. And you have let down your brothers, who looked up to you. Wu Qingqiu's tone only grew angrier. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath, feeling shame. Be it 4 or 5 years, it's still a long time. I believed that I could take on everything myself. Qingqiang would have been in pain, but then followed by relief, as in a decade or 2, her wound would begin to heal, and in 50 years, she would have moved on. A century later, she wouldn't even remember me. The deepest love would be buried in the sands of time, right? But Zhuo Fan felt his heart bleed every time he looked into those dull eyes of his wife. Junior sister Qingqing didn't even wait. The moment you were proclaimed dead, her heart died with you. Wu Qingqiu was grave. I just want to know, why didn't you come back if you were safe? No matter how much you changed, she still could tell it was you even back at the stage. Maybe if you stay with her, you could open her heart again. In the matters of the heart, only the cause can heal it. No pill in this world can heal her, for you are her cure. Zhuo Fan shook his head in desolation. I cannot see her, because I hope she will learn to forget me. Why? It's for her own good. I don't want to hurt her. Zhuo Fan squeezed her hand. If I die tomorrow, am I supposed to let her die with me? Wu Qingqiu started. What's that supposed to mean? My life isn't my own and can be reaped at a whim. I just don't want to burden her. Zhuo Fan gave a long sigh. Wu Qingqiu was stunned. I may not know what trouble you're in, but I can see your point. Are you saying that all you've done was for her to live? Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes glazing from being weary. Sorry, I forgot myself there. I should have known you'd never be so cruel to junior sister Qingqing. Wu Qingqiu relented and bowed after some thought. Zhuo Fan waved his hand. It's fine. Telling me off actually made me feel a bit better. I am rather very grateful to you and all who took the time to look after Qingqing these years. Wu Qingqiu shook his head. It's what a fellow brother does, all natural. What natural? You don't understand women at all. A nagging voice came out from behind. If I may say so, and the eldest senior brother of Double Dragon Manor, you should be tearing into this cruel man for dumping his wife. The two looked back to see with a start that it was Shangguan Qinyan with red eyes from crying, and looking at them with indignation. Zhuo Fan was puzzled. What are you doing here? What do you think the jail of Sea Bright Sect is? This isn't a playground. Yeah, I told seniors outside not to let anyone disturb us. Why can you? Wu Qingqiu looked baffled at her bang. Shangguan Qinyan stomped on her way over, cursing in the meantime. I know you're Double Dragon Manor's eldest senior brother Wu Qingqiu, and that those seniors let you in because of your importance in Double Dragon Manor. But you're just a disciple. I, however, am the young miss of the Shangguan clan, the apple of my father's eye. So, who do you think those oldies will favor more? Ugh. Wu Qingqiu was lost for words. True, Double Dragon Manor is leading Western lands, but I'm just a disciple within its grounds. No matter how much favor I have, it'll last for a few decades tops. When the next batch of new guys come, I'll soon be forgotten. While the Shangguan clan of Eastern lands would always hold their young miss in the highest regard regardless. Their statuses were just worlds apart. Those oldies would, of course, not step on Eastern lands young. Miss Toes the most. Wu Qingqiu rolled his eyes and grumbled, "See bright sex elders sure are tough." He failed to notice that they wouldn't let a Western lands disciple see their greatest suspect unless they were tough. It was all due to not wanting to piss off Double Dragon Manor that was behind him that they let him through, as pissing off Double Dragon Manor meant pissing off all of Western lands. They couldn't take the blame. The same went for Shangguan Qingyan, so this young missy stormed into the jail and right in Zhuo Fan's face as she glared. Young Miss Shangguan, did I do something to anger you?" Zhuo Fan looked confused. Shangguan Qingyan's lip trembled and nodded. "Yeah, you did, because you have no clue what women think." Come again." Zhuo Fan paused, turning to Wu Qingqiu for answers, but he was just as clueless. Offering an unhelpful shrug, Zhuo Fan, "I know all about you and your wife, every single detail." Shangguan Qingyan's eyes flared with anger. "You've gone through so much together, so why are you such a blockhead? Don't you see what she wants?" Zhuo Fan winced, turning grave. Chapter 1031, Breakout. Chapter 1031, Breakout. Proofreader, Papatonks. Staring at Zhuo Fan's clueless face, Shangguan Qingyan sighed and her features softened. "You said in the central area that you abandoned your wife because she would die with you, right? But what if that was what she wanted?" "Well, I didn't." Zhuo Fan spoke heavily. "I just couldn't have her enter hell because of me. It's like pushing her into the abyss. I'm no saint, but this is something I could never do. Yet your wife was more than happy to join you in hell." "No, unacceptable." Zhuo Fan shook his head. "She wants to be with me, so of course I want to as well. But being selfish for a brief period would get her killed. Something I don't want to see. That's why it's better if she forgets me." Zhuo Fan caressed Chu Qingqing's white hair, hurt just by seeing her so unresponsive. "But not like this. I only hoped she would forget me alone." "She forgot everyone, even herself, all but you, right?" Shangguan Qingyan glanced at the dull gaze of Chu Qingqing and teared up again. Zhuo Fan shook and closed his eyes, recalling how Chu Qingqing shunned any at the fight earlier, while only showing fondness to him. A stranger in an eagle mask, he hurt even more. Shangguan Qingyan lowered her head and sighed. "I don't want eternity, only a moment." "Zhuo Fan," these were Chu Qingqing's last words. "Do you know what they mean?" "What?" "I've pressed senior sister Rohua for every detail, and she said Miss Chu had always been muttering this right before she lost herself." Shangguan Qingyan sighed. "Sir Zhuo is a man of lofty ambitions and achievements, be it as Zhuo Fan or Gu Yifan. Any place that he's found in is bound to be overturned and danger to follow. Miss Chu is ready. Since she chose you, she was willing to accept everything. She didn't mind not spending eternity together, as long as she was there next to you. This was her deepest wish. But you had been so selfish and decided by yourself to cut it off. You said it's all for her, so she could be safe and away from you. But did you ever stop to think what she wanted? You gave her all you could, but robbed her of all she wanted. She is living well, but she might as well be dead. Sir Zhuo, is this your love for her? Such selfishness." Zhuo Fan's eyes shook, his body trembled, filled with regret as he looked at Chu Qingqing's dull features. "I was truly wrong. True demonic cultivators can break away from the hypocrisies and deceits, but they can't fight love. Ha ha ha." Zhuo Fan's eyes were filled with sorrow. A demon should never have felt attachment. Attachment cuts off the demonic path and traps you. I could scheme over anything in the world, but always become powerless in the face of love. I wanted what's best for my wife, but ended up hurting her the most. If this was a backlash, then Zhuo Fan admitted he failed in this aspect. Not only was his wife hurt, but he was crushed in this battle as well. Zhuo Fan stood with a blank stare, with Shangguan Qingyan and Wu Qingqiu feeling his pain. The greatest pain in the world was having the opposite outcome of what you intended. What he thought would get him the best of both worlds ended up with him losing everything. Pa. A sudden hand gently landed on Zhuo Fan's confused face. Zhuo Fan looked startled at Chu Qingqing, running her hand through his hair in an effort to console him. Alas, those same empty eyes stared back into his soul. Wu Qingqiu lit up. Brother Zhuo, don't lose heart. Ever since you came, junior sister Qingqing has shown great improvement. I believe that as long as Brother Zhuo stays, junior sister Qingqing is sure to get better. Yes, now that I'm here, I will help her get well and never leave again. Touching the gentle hand on his hair, Zhuo Fan stood and looked in Chu Qingqing's eyes as he spoke. Even in death, I will always hold your hand. I won't let you walk the earth alone ever again. Shangguan Qingyan and Wu Qingqiu nodded with a smile, though the former felt her own heartache. She was happy that Zhuo Fan reunited with his dear wife, but it was also the cause of her pain in the end. She rooted for the pair to have a happy reunion and be together. As for herself, she felt great even only being young Sanzi's Aunt. Shangguan Qingyan smiled, brighter than ever before. Wu Qingqiu looked dumbstruck as he smiled back. Chu Qingqing began to show signs of a smile too, a flicker of life coming and going in her empty eyes. Bam! The jail door was slammed open, making them jump. A bloody corpse missing an arm and leg flew in. The feisty woman, showing up, waltzed inside and shouted at Zhuo Fan. Bright, you all right? I came to get you out. Who are you? There are 30 Genesis stage experts outside. How did you get in here? Wu Qingqiu gasped. The woman smirked. What can 30 puny Genesis old farts do anyway? They should be proud they could hold me for even a second. But what's with this jail's design, putting 2 soul harmony stage brats as guards at the end? I say, they're more and more rotten, ha ha ha. She flashed before the two with bloodthirst, ready to end them. Wu Qingqiu's eyes widened in panic. With how strong she looked, she of course had no trouble dealing with the Genesis elders outside. And silently, too, she is deadly. She could kill them as easily as squashing ants, and they couldn't even make a peep while at it. Wu Qingqiu grew grave and pale, sighing. Just what was wrong with today, always putting them in imminent danger. Stop, you. It was then a shout came. The bloodthirst-fueled finger halted, and she looked from them to Zhuo Fan. What's the point in letting them live? Bali Yu failed to get the sword from the Heaven's Ceiling Pavilion and came back to discuss it with Zhuo Fan. There she found their team locked up, so while her head didn't always work straight, her fist was more than enough to compensate. She made the bright decision to break Zhuo Fan out and ask his big brain for a plan. Having him stuck behind bars left her with no clue what to do next. Their friends coming for a visit, not guards. Don't hurt them. Zhuo Fan waved, whether accustomed or not. She actually listened with a shrug and patted the two. Oh, on the same side, ha ha ha. Sorry about that, don't mind it. It's fine, just don't mind it at all. Ha ha. Wu Qingqiu looked tense, giving Zhuo Fan a puzzled look. What the hell has he been up to these years? Where did she find this powerhouse? Is she from Devil Mountain too? Oh, Devil Mountain. With all the memories being refreshed, he forgot to ask if Devil Mountain was real or just a thorough lie, but then glancing at Bali Yu, Wu Qingqiu flinched and kept his doubts to himself. Better leave it for later. Shangguan Qingyan was so terrified, she couldn't even make a peep. Bali Yu ignored the harmless brats and mocked. Hey, Steward Qian, what's going on? I've been out with work for a bit, and you got yourself imprisoned? You even had me come break you out. Steward Qian, has your shrewd mind finally come up empty for once? How stuck up you are. Zhuo Fan turned to the others with a smile. See this face. Allow me to teach you a life lesson. The next time you see someone like this, you're to step on it and beat it without remorse. For the moment one gets cocky over nothing, you'll come to regret having not hit it when you could. Bali Yu giggled, but then her face sank. Chapter 1032. You can go. Chapter 1032. You can go. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bali Yu gnashed her teeth and spat. Rotten punk, you let your mouth run off and ended up in jail. Now I come to save you out of the kindness of my heart, but instead of thanks you're mocking me? What would you have done if I hadn't come along? Who asked you anyway? Joie Fan scoffed with a raised eyebrow, holding on to Chu Chingching's hand. I was even hoping to stay here for a couple of days. Miss Yu is free to leave. I'm stuck here behind the barriers and can't go. Bye. Hey, Bali Yu's face twitched, annoyed with him to the extreme. She came to the rescue, but the more she looked, she noticed they were unlike any prisoners she saw. They were more like guests. Is this your home? Are you free to come and go as you please? I even had to go through the guards. Burning with anger, Bali Yu stopped her cursing when she noticed Joie Fan holding hands with Chu Qingqing. Her anger evaporated, replaced by confusion. Qian Fan, who is she? My wife. Your wife. Bali Yu flinched, feeling her heart skip a beat, but also souring. But as a sword king, and particularly a warmonger, she wasn't about to let softness show on her features. She took a deep breath to calm herself. Why haven't I heard about this or seen her? Joie Fan rolled his eyes. Who are you to me for me to tell you everything? Humph! It's my fortune to be reunited with my wife. I shall treasure these days, imprisoned alongside her. Be sure to look after Junior's sister, Qing Qing. Joie Fan, you owe her too much after so many years. Wu Qingqiu said with a smile, forgetting there was a witch not up to 2 feet away. An expert that removed dozens of Genesis stage experts without a sound. Bali Yu looked confused and stared at Joie Fan. Then I'll break you out of here. We'll talk once we're safe. No, my wife's mind had suffered a shock and fighting will affect her. Staying here is much better. Just knock her out and we'll be off. What did you say? Joie Fan glared. Bali Yu, listen here. She is my wife. Touch her and you'll be sorry. Bali Yu was taken aback, having never seen Joie Fan be so determined. She knew the girl was very important to him and sighed with a lowered head. One guard mediated. Sir, Miss Yu is only thinking of your own good. There's no need to turn cruel over a simple refusal. Ha ha ha. This isn't about keeping calm. I won't let anyone touch her. Joie Fan held Chu Qingqing as he spoke. With resolve, Bali Yu's face fell and gnashed her teeth. Shangguan Qingyan shook her head. Feeling sad, Joie Fan is more careful with Chu Qingqing than with any other girl. Senior sister Roa was right. Joie Fan and Chu Qingqing were protective of each other, with no one able to separate them. Wu Qingqiu's face twitched and asked his most pressing question. Joie Fan, you just called this Miss Bali Yu? What a coincidence for her to have the same name as the Central Area's frigid rain, Sword King, ha ha ha. That's me, it's not a coincidence. Joie Fan stayed silent, but Wu Qingqiu and Shangguan Qingyan were frozen stiff. Frigid rain, Sword King, is in Sea-Bright sect and listening to this devious guy. But for what? Bali Yu ignored their shock and the fact she was found out. Since you don't want to leave, what are you planning? Didn't you aim for the North Sea? How are you going to reach it if you're stuck here? I'll leave when the moment is right. Thanks for caring. But for now, I want to be with my wife. You can go now. Go? If I go, who'll save you? Bali Yu roared. You think just anyone can burst into Sea-Bright Sect's jail? If I go, you'll either die or be stuck here till you die. It's none of your concern. No one can stop me from leaving when I want, nor take me away if I don't want to. Joie Fan glared at her, his voice irreproachable. Frigid rain, Sword King, we're all behind bars, so you don't have to stay as well and can go back to report to Invincible Sword. This is all I amount to, getting trapped by the Sea-Bright sect. Devil Mountain Disciple is nothing much, not when Devil Mountain doesn't exist. You can go and tell him that. Your mission is over. Bali Yu bit her lip, not wanting to go, her eyes glaring back. You really don't need my help. No, now go. Joie Fan sighed. With my wife by my side, I don't need another woman causing misunderstandings. As someone under me, tonight is your last task. The plan is a success, and we can go our separate ways. As you are with Bailey Yutin, you can wait for my end, then report it back to him. There's no need for you to be here anymore. Bali Yu shook with her and Shangguan Qingyan, feeling stabbed in the heart. Having him say there was no place for any girl around him other than his wife cut them deep. Bali Yu didn't go anywhere, speaking coldly. You think I want to stay around you? I've had enough ages ago. But with the sea-bright sex barrier so strong, I can't pass it. You didn't get the heaven-sealing sword. You think it's that easy? Bali Yu rolled her eyes. The heaven-sealing sword is behind an unbreakable barrier in the heaven-sealing pavilion. There are also the 4 Snow Peak elders, the strongest defenders in northern lands, watching over it. Their combined attacks would be hard to face even for Ouyang Lingtian. How then am I supposed to do it? Could you steal it then? No. Obviously. But you can. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. Bali Yu paused. Are you deaf? I can't beat those 4, and can't even break the barrier. I can't because I don't have the strength to face Sword King level experts. But you have it and can do it for me. Zhuo Fan said. Ever heard of diversion tactics? Bali Yu pondered and exclaimed. You want to draw them out? But they've been alive for thousands of years. You think such a simple trick will work? And I still can't deal with the barrier. Going after them is bound to fail, which is why we'll use a complex plan. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. Because they're wise old men. They have many things and thus many leverages. Ever heard of rumors becoming real? Frigid Rain Sword King looked stumped. He gestured to her to get closer, and Zhuo Fan whispered dark secrets to her through the bars. Bali Yu gave him a look of confusion at the end. Will it actually work? With the old coots so obsessed with their stuff, they're easy to dupe, even the wisest elders. Zhuo Fan's eyes sparkled. Bali Yu nodded and left. I'll give it a shot. But if it doesn't work, I'll take it out on you. Don't go failing on purpose just to find me. This trick only works once. Don't waste my effort and brain cells. If it works, I wouldn't be caught dead coming back here. Bali Yu huffed, and her footsteps sounded distant now with the witch leaving. Wu Qingqiu gasped. Zhuo Fan, are you siding with the Central Area's Sword Star Empire? Yeah, I thought you said you're not here to make trouble for northern lands. Shangguan Qingyan said hurriedly. Zhuo Fan said, I'm not here for northern lands affairs, nor am I on the Central Area's side. I'm doing it for myself. You can now go report, but don't mess with the plan. You heard it, right? I want to go to the North Sea, and the Sea-Bright sect would never lower the barrier for me. I can only borrow Bali Yu to weaken the barrier and make it easier for me to leave. This way it saves me a dragon breath pill, which is great, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan had a wide smile plastered on his face, making the two confused outside the jail. Bali Yu looked furious around the corpses. She took a deep breath, about to throw away a token. But something held her back. It was the same token Zhuo Fan had the Qian clan prepare for her Qian Fan's wife, Qian Yu escorting goods. She heard voices nearby, and Bali Yu gripped the token. She sniffed as her eyes teared over. She put the token away and flew for the heaven-sealing pavilion. Chapter 1033, Robbery. Chapter 1033, Robbery. Proofreader, Papatonks. The stars shone bright on this quiet night. The 4 elders in the heaven-sealing pavilion sat on each side of the copper pillar with closed eyes. Heaven-sealing sword was still shining blue, radiating power taken by the barrier boom. A sudden explosion tore the tranquility, with a huge fire breaking out 5 kilometers from beyond Heaven Island. The flames reach high in the sky, with the clouds reflecting a deep red. The 4 elders flinched awake, looking at the fire in the distance, and heard the resulting ruckus. The sect members were running around to deal with it. What's going on? What could have made that noise inside the sect? One elder stroked his beard. Another elder shook his head and closed his eyes. Doesn't matter. At worst, sect leader and Ling Tian will deal with it. We just need to do our job and guard this place. Nothing else matters than doing our part. The others regained calm after a pause, just sitting there in silence report. Yet, 15 minutes later, a panicked shout reached the pavilion. A sea-bright sect disciple flew before the four and started lamenting. Venerables, this is bad! I Invincible Sword and 5 Sword Kings have broken in. Sea-bright sect Ling has fallen, and senior Uncle Ouyang Ling Tian is barely holding on. You have to help him, Venerables. What? The calm elders snapped their eyes open and stared at him in disbelief. Are you sure? How, when our barrier is unbreakable? Invincible Sword would have no reason to be here either way. Why would they make such a sudden attack? For what purpose? The guy didn't say anything, just looking frightened, being scared out of his mind and unable to calm down. Hey, which elder's disciple are you? Why aren't you answering? One venerable squinted and shouted in suspicion. Did you see Invincible Sword and his team? Did you see the sect leader die? The guy barely squeezed a word through the terror. Why, yes. The 4 elders grumbled. What's with him acting so weird? His earlier report was clear, so why was he now stuttering so much? Venerables, get the heaven-sealing sword, quickly! Another shout came to the pavilion before they could make some sense of it all. A second disciple rushed in. Looking miserable, he slumped at their feet and urged. Senior Uncle Ling Tian is hurt badly. Double Dragon Manor and Shangguan clan have suffered severe casualties and can't hold on. Senior Uncle requests that Venerables go and help with the divine sword. He then spurted blood and fell unconscious from his heavy wounds. The 4 were alarmed. Is the battle outside that fierce? They've taken out the main resistance. Is the enemy that strong? The 4 looked shocked, but recalling Invincible Sword, they were instantly sure, with that old monster leading the charge and with the help of a divine sword, it'll be hard to stop him. 3 elders turned to the eldest brother. The elder frowned, his heart in chaos. He figured the best thing to do now was to understand what was happening, but it all happened so fast that there was no time, with the situation out of control and unable to make sense of it all. What am I supposed to do? Venerable, save us. A wail came from outside the 4 elders' hearts, thumped with worry. This time it was a female disciple bursting in, covered in wounds and her eyes filled with blood. She wept. Venerables, senior Uncle Ouyang. The 4 elders shook, hurriedly asking, what happened to Ling Tian? Senior Uncle was killed by Invincible Sword. The girl twitched one more time and cried as she fell unconscious, as well the 4 elders no longer looked at her. Each shocked to the core Ouyang Ling Tian, the strongest in northern lands and the only one to use the heaven-sealing sword to its full power, had just died at Invincible Sword's hands. The future of Seabright sect was now ruined. All those thousands of years of glorious history brought to an abrupt end. The 4 panicked, and their hearts sank. The noise outside only grew louder. One elder jolted back to his senses and said, Eldest brother, we need to help the sect. We can't sit around while our disciples are being wiped out. There's no sect without them. Yes, but there's rules regarding the sword. The High Venerable no longer sat around thinking, turning to the heaven-sealing sword with hesitation. The sword can never leave the pavilion, only in special circumstances. If we take the sword, then... The other 3 elders cried out, Eldest brother, we don't have time to mind the rules. Without the heaven-sealing sword, we can't stop Invincible Sword's sundering sword. Are you trying to let him kill more of us? This is an emergency, and we don't have time to worry about that now. Are you afraid of losing the heaven-sealing sword? High Venerable looked at them, and then he nodded. Yes, it's an emergency. Stopping the old monster comes first. This entire situation feels strange, but we need to act fast. With the 4 of them working together and wielding the heaven-sealing sword, nothing could stop them. High Venerable's eyes shone with conviction. Release the barrier and take the sword. The other 3 nodded and made signs. Ripples began to spread from the barrier around the sword. The barrier then opened, and allowed for the cold aura of the heaven ceiling sword to spread outside. It then began to hum. Shaking and hovering above the copper pillar, High Venerable reached out for it whoosh. The sword turned into a cold glow and flew towards him whoosh. Silver sword energy waves came from nowhere just then, shooting for the elders. The dreaded aura they carried made them shiver and feel death breathing down their necks. The four jumped away to dodge Bam. While they got out of the way, the heaven ceiling sword could not. With a clang, the sacred weapon got sent hurtling through the air. It was no longer able to tell where High Venerable was, and just spun in place. It was then a woman flashed before the four and grabbed heaven's ceiling sword. She landed 100 meters from them and spared them a cold gaze. She was none other than the female disciple coming to report, only she now released a deadly aura that made even the four elders shiver. Who are you? Give heaven's ceiling sword back. The four elders shouted at once. Clenching their fists, she, however, made the wise choice to ignore them, looking at the divine sword with a flat look, devoid of any joy she might have hoped. Chapter 1034. He Must Die. Chapter 1034. He Must Die. Proofreader, Papatonks. Those geezers have been around for thousands of years, and a simple diversion won't work. Even if they do fall for it, you won't be getting the heaven's ceiling sword from behind the barrier. The best tactic is to use a lure so they would take it out themselves. As for what could possibly drive them to shirk their duty and rely on the sword? Easy when the sect is in grave peril. The geezers would die for the sect. It is everything to them, while also their only achievement and weakness. You just have to bait them, and all will fall into place. As for how to do it, the 3-person confirmation method. I know these weasels are shrewd and hard to dupe, but as more people say the same thing, they have to believe it. No matter how suspicious, human nature is the same. We don't even need to believe it fully either. Just enough to consider the loud ruckus as grave danger. Just to be safe, they would then take the sword out. With how no lie is perfect, you will have to act fast. In the heat of the moment, those geezers are too distraught to pay attention to everything. Adding to that the unhealthy confidence experts tend to have. Ha ha ha. Once you take the sword, take care of yourself. Frigid reigned Sword King. As she stared at the silent heaven ceiling sword in her hand, she replayed Zhuo Fan's words in her mind. Bali Yuyu's lip quivered, then glared at the four with fury. What the hell is wrong with you old coots? Are you that stupid to fall for his dumb trick? Have your brains turned to mush? Ugh. The four elders looked at each other with dumb looks. What's she on about? She took out the divine sword and now blames us for being duped? It sounds more like she didn't want to do it, but was forced. What kind of skewed logic is that? Are there people in this world that are forced to rob themselves? Or is this broad just mocking us? Curses, this is mortifying. It's not enough you stole our sword. Now you had to insult our intelligence too? Girl, who are you? How dare you steal our divine sword? Give it back now, and we'll spare you. The elders roared. Bali Yuyu mocked their kind offer. Decrepit old fools, save your flimsy speech for your sea-bright sect disciples. You have no chance of scaring the likes of Bali Yuyu. The frigid reign, Sword King Bali Yuyu. The four elders gasped. What are you doing here? How did you get into our sect? Bali Yuyu grinned. Like getting in here was difficult. I just had to stroll, right in humph. Now I can leave and none of you can stop me. Take care. Bali Yuyu was about to leave, but the heaven sealing sword in her hand had different plans. Shaking and trying to fly away from her, it was the divine sword's defiance. Shunning any who didn't train in its arts, Bali Yuyu was a sword king and a cultivator of the sundering sword art. With the 5 great divine swords sharing common aspects, she poured her thunder sword energy into it to calm it down. Having humans for its wielders was also an important aspect, since it held no malice towards them. If it were a sacred beast instead, the divine sword would go berserk in trying to tear the beast to pieces once the divine sword settled. Bali Yuyu made a sign and placed it in her ring. Bali Yuyu, give it back or you're going to die here. Heaven-sealing sword was now in the enemy's bag, making the 4 Snow Peak elders shout at her and attack. Cold sword waves came at Baliyu from all around her. She gave a smirk of disdain and flared her aura. Her hands flickered and thunder cracked the air, deflecting the sword waves' boom. A chain of devastating explosions resounded as the heaven-sealing pavilion blew up, with the horizon taking on a glowing silvery hue when dust settled and all noise died. The 4 Snow Peak elders found no sign of Frigid Rain's Sword King. She was gone before they knew it. The 4 elders were a match for even Ouyang Lingtian, making it impossible for her to beat them. The same, however, applied for them, with both sides holding equal power. Getting the sword from them was impossible as it was for the 4 to stop her. So while they were flinging threats, they knew the minute the Baliyu got to the heaven-sealing sword, they had no chance of getting it back. That attack they did was only out of duty. The 4 watched the empty night sky, filled with regret in another area. People had the burning place surrounded, with Ouyang Lingtian, Ling Yuntian, and exalted double dragon among them. Bright Sect's disciples and elders watched from the side, making sure nothing escaped their notice. Despite finding nothing, Sect leaderling, "What is this place?" Murong Lai frowned, looking at the blazing fire. They had to be very strong to have ruined this place so quickly at the level of the best in the land. But what's so important here that would make them cause such destruction? The others turned to Ling Yuntian sighed. "This is the alchemy house of the Sea Bright Sect, where many pills are refined. Are they aiming to cripple our pill supply?" "That has to be it. Central areas, spies must have slipped in and started causing havoc." Bu Xingyu nodded and cupped his hands. "Sect leaderling, please double the search parties and find them as soon as possible. There seems to be more of them besides that Qian caravan. We need to hold Qian Fan for questioning." The other mulled a bit and agreed. Ling Yuntian fell silent, still in thought. Ouyang Lingtian smiled. "Sect leader, it's like you don't see it as a spy attack. Just like you said, only a real expert could have done this. Someone of your level. That means it could only be a Sword King." Ling Yuntian's eyes shone. "But don't you think taking out just the alchemy house is too little for the 9 Sword Kings hiding among us? If word got out they were out pilfering, would only bring them shame." The others nodded. Yes, why would experts like the 9 Sword Kings lower themselves to something like this? Maybe it's not a Sword King, but another expert. Morong Shui thought of something. All eyes turned to her. Someone else besides the 9 Sword Kings? The other lands' experts? Aside from the traders of Western lands and Eastern lands, that only left Murong Lai of Southern lands and Ouyang Lingtian of Northern lands capable of this. Are you suspecting your own brother? Or are you saying Ouyang Lingtian would do this to his own home? Murong Lai was the only one who understood, having fought with Baliyu, yet having not known who she was. "Schwer, you mean that woman?" Murong Shui nodded, but her eyes shone with cold bloodthirst. Rumble. Thunderclaps echoed from the heaven-sealing pavilion. Shaking the skies, the heaven-sealing sword! Ouyang Lingtian cried out and rushed towards it. The others soon followed in realization. Murong Xie grabbed her brother and said, "Brother, you go on ahead. There's something I must do." "What?" Murong Lai was confused. What could be more important than an attack on the Sea Bright Sect? "You don't have to worry. I'll just check something and return. Just be careful. There's a strong expert hiding in the Sea Bright Sect, and it's no longer safe." Murong Lai saw her unshrinking will and relented. Going on alone, Murong Shui gnashed her teeth and muttered, "Damn you, bastard. The merchant caravan was missing a girl. It has to be her. That guy can't sit still even in jail, causing such a disaster without any shred of remorse. This time he must die, before Sea Bright Sect suffers any more destruction and he kills more innocents." Boom! A third loud boom rang that night. The sky began to quicker and broke away. letting the stars shine brighter upon the world. Without any impediment, the men going for heaven's ceiling pavilion flinched, and stopped to look in shock. The strongest barrier in the lands was now broken. Chapter 1035. I Cannot Die. Chapter 1035. I Cannot Die. Proofreader, Papatonks. Brother Wu, what do you think of my skill? Chu Qingqing sat in the gloomy jail, with Zhuo Fan standing behind her, softly running the comb through her long silky locks, full of care and gentleness. It has only been 1 day since Qingqing and I got married, and I had been forced to go to Double Dragon Manor, never getting the chance to comb her hair. It might be silly, but it was a wish of mine. You too can tell me if I'm doing it wrong. Wu Qingqiu's face twitched. Zhuo Fan, you're way too casual. Frigid Rain, Sword King, listened to you and went to steal Heaven's sealing sword. She might fail and be chased here. You'd be involved in the Central Area's matters, from which you can't come out alive. And if she succeeds, the Seabright sect would have no way of dealing with her and will take their hatred on you, leading to death once more. I just can't figure out how you can be so indifferent about it. It's like it isn't your problem. Yeah, that Frigid Rain, Sword King, wanted to break you out of here. You could have accepted and all would be over. Why would you stay here to die? Shangguan Qingyan grew downcast. Zhuo Fan only had attention for combing his wife's hair, smiling. It's a bit messy. I know I'm not used to this. I just need practice. Qingqing, sorry. Hey, Zhuo Fan, did you hear any word I said? All of it. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. First off, I told you I'm not with the Central Areas group, having my own interests. But the Seabright sect won't believe you. No matter. Zhuo Fan smirked. Then believing or not is all the same to my life. I cannot die either way, ha ha ha. Wu Qingqiu was baffled. What do you mean it's all the same? They're never going to allow a Central Area spy to live, on top of having killed so many experts of theirs. Those Genesis stage experts outside weren't killed by you, but since Bali Yu did it to save you, you'll still be implicated. In their anger, they'll even take your life. It will only be harder on Qingqing after finally coming back. Now you. Zhuo Fan gave him a gesture to be quiet as he showed a vague smile. Brother Wu, you're a righteous cultivator to the core. Even your thinking is upright. Be it killing or spying, none have anything to do with me. If killing meant death, then there would be no murders. It's nothing more than a scare tactic. The strong have always preyed on the weak. With enough strength, no one can take your life no matter who you kill. Zhuo Fan paced around, tending to Chu Qingqing's fine locks, his gentle care in complete dissonance with his cruel tone. Wu Qingqiu sighed. I know that, but you're now the weak one and about to be sacrificed. Aren't you scared? Why should I be? Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed, showing a devious smile. If they can strike me, you think I can't strike back? Unless they're backward enough to think like a dumb teenager and die together, they would never touch me. You really think that I was so open about letting them seal my cultivation and put me behind bars without any precautions? Wu Qingqiu's heart sank, being more confused than ever. Zhuo Fan's smirk turned serious when he looked at Chu Qingqing. I couldn't die because I wanted to reunite with my wife one day. Now I cannot die even more because she needs me. I am not about to let anyone take my life. Then I'll take it, demon. Bam. Wallaboom! The jail door burst open, and a girl's voice echoed inside. Morong Shui appeared with a furious scowl, stomping down the steps while staring at Zhuo Fan, who didn't even pause from combing. Shangguan Qingyan rushed to block her good sister. Seeing her so furious, doing anything to soothe her. Sister Morong, what's wrong? Why are you so furious? You dare ask me that? Did you not see the many corpses of Seabright sect elders outside? Glaring at her for the first time, Morong Shui yelled at her sweet little sister, scaring her away, ignoring her infatuated sister with Zhuo Fan. Morong Shui glared. Gu Yifan, give me an answer. Did you kill those people? Word caught my ear that Southern Land's immortal healer Morong Shui is smart and sharp. But why is it that today you're so slow? Tending to Chu Qingqing's temples, Zhuo Fan drawled. My yuan qi is sealed and I'm stuck in this barrier. You tell me how I am supposed to kill anyone. You stupid or what? Morong Shui gasped in hatred. You might not have done it, but that woman around you did the killing, didn't she? Yep. Zhuo Fan was blunt. Morong Shui gnashed her teeth. Why has she been killing? Did you put her up to this? She did it to break me out. I asked you if you told her to kill so she could get you out. That's why I'm saying you're dumb. If I told her that, what would I still be doing here? I'd be miles away by now. Zhuo Fan cocked an annoying eyebrow, mocking the irate girl further. There's no point in having her save me, so I had her leave. So why are you here? A trip to the sect dungeon. Shangguan Qinyan couldn't contain her giggle. Morong Shui glared at her and made her flinch in fright, but then she cautiously held her sister's trembling hand from rage, pleading, Sister Shui, it's true. The woman came to save him when we were here. But he didn't want to go, coming to terms with his crimes and turning a new leaf. Could you ask Brother Morong Lai to speak for him with sect leaderling and let him go? A new leaf? Humph! His character is unchanging. Flinging her hand away, Morong Shui glared with hatred at Zhuo Fan. Let me ask you, did you put that woman to make those 2 explosions in the sect? Don't try to deny it. I've seen the destruction, and it couldn't be made by anyone other than a Sword King level expert. Except for the central area. Only that woman around you has such power. Now that she's missing, it's obviously. There's 3 explosions. Zhuo Fan cut her off with an evil smile. First was at a place far from Heaven's Ceiling Pavilion. The second at the Heaven's Ceiling Pavilion. As for the third, Zhuo Fan's grin widened. She gnashed her teeth in frustration and anger. The sect barrier. I knew it was you behind it all. Yep, I had her do it. What about it? I'll kill you. Zhuo Fan's callous admittance proved to have been the last push to Morong Shui's fury. She raised her palm and struck for Zhuo Fan's head. Even with his cultivation sealed, he still showed no fear before impending doom. Bam! Zhuo Fan just stood there with a smile, but Morong Shui had to withdraw 2 steps with a trembling hand. Her eyes were burning with even more rage. Plop! Zhuo Fan smirked as he knocked the air 3 times. Miss Morong, better not call yourself smart again. You're more of a bonehead. I'm a prisoner here, Missy, with a strong barrier left by Genesis stage experts. Well, I can't get out, neither can you get in. Miss Morong, you're better off asking sect leaderling to open them if you still plan on killing me. Judging by that savage strike just now, your hand must be crushed, yet it still couldn't touch a hair on my head. Ha ha ha, I'm sorry, really I am. Here I am, at my weakest, yet you can't even reach me. Gu Yifan, you're one vile demon. Just you wait. We'll just see how long your cocky attitude lasts. Morong Shui glared at Zhuo Fan's taunting gaze and scrunched her teeth harder. She then flicked her hand and left. I'll report everything to sect leaderling. He'll deal with you. First you slaughtered people in the Sea Bright sect. Then you broke their barrier. Zhuo Fan didn't even flinch, looking at her in ridicule. Shangguan Qinyan started and begged, Sister Shui, don't. He really hasn't done anything in jail. He's good. Good my ass. Even if he doesn't move a muscle, disaster will still befall everyone, just like it did Central Area's Serene Shores Trading. He is a devil, rotten to the core. His mere existence is vile. Morong Shui clenched her fists and left in a huff, disregarding her sister's plea and even cursing. Yenner, have you got taken in by him? With everything that's happened here, with so many people dead, you still take his side? I will no longer help you hide it and report everything. Ah, no, Sister Shui. Shangguan Qinyan cried after her, and Wu Qingqiu sighed. This is a huge mess, Brother Zhuo. What are you going to do? Nothing, just wait and see. Aren't you scared the Sea Bright sect will execute you? They won't even try, moreover. Zhuo Fan quirked a smile. This only cements my safety. For now I have 2 blades, and soon the 3rd, ha ha ha. Wu Qingqiu was baffled, feeling like Zhuo Fan had cast a net that spread over everyone, putting them on edge. Chapter 1036, Mastermind. Chapter 1036, Mastermind. Proofreader, Papatonks. Sister Shui, don't do it. Give him another chance. Shut up. I've given him plenty of chances, which is why so many innocents are now dead. That foul demon has to be put down now, before he brings about an even greater disaster. Sister Shui, it's really not him, but the one under him, who acted in his stead. Murong Shui and Shangguan Qingyan were fighting while walking for Si Bright, Sect's main hall. Shangguan Qingyan pleaded while Murong Shui would always throw her reasons aside, flaring in anger. He is a plague. His end will settle everything. You've been infatuated with him and can't see him for who he is. You even had me go along with this charade. But there's no point talking about this. I shall do the world this favor, for the greater good. She shrugged Shangguan Qingyan's hand off and stormed into the main hall. Shangguan Qingyan was looking erratic as she followed after her. They, however, were left speechless as they came in, no longer saying a word. The mood was tense and heavy. The thick air was so oppressive it made it hard to breathe. There was not a single sound, not even from a random animal. Sect leader Ling Yuntian had a dark look on his face, his usual smile no longer seen. Ouyang Lingtian, Morong Lai, an exalted double dragon, and many others were tense too. Before them were 4 elders, stricken with guilt and lowered heads in shame. On the ground were the 2 disciples that worked with Bali Yu in passing the report. They were brought in under suspicion of being spies. Morong Lai looked confused at the heavy mood, no longer thinking of reporting Zhuo Fan, and instead whispering to Morong Lai, brother, what happened? Why? A true disaster. Morong Lai sighed, actually looking mournful. Sure, you sensed it too? The 3rd explosion came from the sect barrier. Yeah, I did. Did someone get in? On the contrary, someone got out. They took the Northern Lands heaven-sealing sword as well. Morong Lai shuddered, and his sigh was longer. Morong Shui's eyes widened and cried out, the heaven-sealing divine sword's gone? How? Yes, it's gone. That's the only reason why the strongest barrier in the lands could break. Morong Lai felt utterly powerless then. His hand flashed and revealed a golden long sword traced by golden flames. That means we only have the decimating sword as the only weapon against invincible sword. We now have no hope at all. Everyone lowered their heads. Feeling the heavy loss, Shangguan Feixiong glanced at the heavy toothpick soaring sword had become with gnashed teeth. Exalted double dragons looked at each other. In guilt, they might have had a chance against invincible sword now, if they hadn't let Dan Qingxin run off with the vaulting sword. They could only blame themselves for being soft on their disciple, though no one knew that the disciple did not have it. This issue led to exalted double dragons and Dan Qingxin coming to a huge misunderstanding. Courtesy of Zhuo Fan, sect leader. It's our fault we let Frigid Rain Sword King take the sword. Sect leader, we will accept any punishment you'd inflict upon us without remorse. Looking at their dark faces, the 4 Snow Peak elders' guilt only grew, to the point they even gave a deep bow with tears on their faces. For any damage that our neglect has caused the sect, we deserve nothing less than execution. Ling Yuntian returned the bow and helped them up, not blaming them in the least. Venerables, you've always held yourself with responsibility and diligence. Everyone in the sect knows this. It's all the thief's fault for using such a loud distraction to hide the truth while bringing false reports. Anyone would have fallen for it in such desperate moments. The more one is loyal to the sect, the easier it is for them to believe such treachery. Venerables, there's no need to blame yourselves. I have looked into these 2 disciples, and they're not traitors, ending up controlled with a bewitching demonic art. Exalted He Rant's brow shook. The bewitching art isn't some incredible skill, for strong experts would not usually fall for such guile. And even if it worked, the target would end up dull-minded and easy to spot. To pull off such a trick on 4 Peak Genesis experts shows how daring the user was and skilled. Exalted by May's side, it's not just daring but calculative. The skill is minor, easily seen through, yet highly effective in the created circumstance. Repeated confirmation makes it believable. Once they took it as real, they were tricked. Then it was just a matter of pouncing with utmost speed at the right moment to get the elders on the wrong foot and steal the sword. The others nodded and sighed. I've heard that the 9 Sword Kings are beyond strong, and that includes Frigid Rain's Sword King. I just can't believe one woman can be so vile and of such twisted cunningness. She's a true master in strength and mind. Ling Yuntian eased a long breath. Invincible sword has yet to come, and one woman, Sword King, had us running around in panic. Then, when we face Invincible Sword, how will we fight back? Right, what will we do? Who says there's anything we can do? Everyone was wrought with worry, looking bleak and downcast at the doomed and imminent future. Only Shangguan Feixiong spoke. Sect leader Ling, do not be distressed. The thief might be Bali Yu, but it might not be her who devised this strategy. From how I see it, the only one among our lands that can come up with such a cunning tactic to control the enemy can only be Sword Star Empire's Bailey Jingwei. He must have planned this before. We have faced him in the central area, and he almost destroyed us with his strategies. It was a very close call. He is truly dangerous. Even if it is Bailey Jingwei's plan, can't we do anything about it? Shangguan clan head, how do you intend to soothe my worries? Ha ha ha. I meant to say that she's too far away from the central area and not with Bailey Yutian. Once fighting starts, anything can happen, and he's too far to give advice. So for now, our opponent is still just Invincible Sword. Oh, Shangguan clan head is right. Ling Yuntian nodded and sighed. Although Invincible Sword is an immense threat to us all, he finds any sort of strategy beneath him and would give us a breather. Ling Yuntian saw the others nod and relax as well. Feeling relieved from their talk morong, Xue stepped in just then, cupping her hands. Sect leader Ling, I have a report. Shangguan Qingyan didn't stop her, shaking her head in anxiety. Miss Morong, why the sudden courtesy? Ling Yuntian had regained his kind smile. Morong Xue spoke heavily. Sect leader Ling, the mastermind behind the theft isn't from the central area, but the imprisoned Qian merchant, Qian Fan. Ling Yuntian looked dumbfounded. What did you say? Xue, what's going on? Just tell us. Morong Lai urged her. Morong Xue began. The leader of the Qian caravan is Steward Qian Fan, but I have met him before in the central area. He's the same one who caused the calamity in the central area, the demon Gu Yifan. Gu Yifan. Shangguan Feixiong reacted instantly, his eyes looking hopeful. Gu Yifan is here now. Morong Xue nodded. Wherever the foul Gu Yifan goes, disaster is soon to follow. I met him in the northern lands as I was coming here, and he also had a strong female guard that matched my brother. He may be in jail, but I have just confirmed that he's behind the devious plan to steal the sword. You can ask Sister Yenner if you don't believe me. She was there, and she knew he was here long before I did. Yenner, is what Xue said true? Shangguan Feixiong stared at his daughter. Shangguan Qingyan's face shook and relented a nod. Foolish girl, why haven't you said anything? You know I've been trying to find him all this time. Shangguan Feixiong ignored everything and even forgot to salute the rest as he stormed outside, roaring, Gu Yifan, you bastard! What did you do to my sword? Fix it this instant. Where's the Sea Bright sex jail again? Chapter 1037, You Can't Touch Me. Chapter 1037, You Can't Touch Me. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bam. In the gloomy prison, Shangguan Feixiong was holding a scarlet sword, bursting right in and looking around with bloodshot eyes like someone who was possessed. Those hungry eyes took moments to find his quarry. Setting his eyes on Zhuo Fan, what did I say? The first to show up will be Shangguan clan head. You lost, Brother Wu. Smirking, Zhuo Fan hardly cared being the target of such an intense gaze and spoke to Wu Qingqiu. Per our bet, you now owe me a favor. Wu Qingqiu shrugged. As long as it doesn't go against my morals, I'll do it, Brother Zhua. Bam! Shangguan Feixiong arrived before the two in one mighty leap, the stone floor cracking under him. Curse you, Gu Yifan! You might have the time of your life, but you almost got me killed. Shangguan clan head, why do you say that? Zhua Fan raised an eyebrow. Shangguan Feixiong's face twitched, showing his scarlet sword and accusing Zhua Fan. Damn punk, stop playing around. You dare ask me that? It's I who should be asking what the hell is this? What is what? Isn't that your clan's soaring sword? It's looking mighty polished. Can it? Shangguan Feixiong was outraged, spitting as he raged, but the drops jumped back when met with the barrier, landing on his own face. It even got into his eyes. Zhua Fan waved his hand. Shangguan clan head, why so excited? We even worked together. Screw your cooperation. He was about to rave again, but stopped before he sprayed himself again and swallowed Wu Qingqiu side at the side, admiring Zhua Fan, who said that the mighty have fallen. Brother Zhua has his cultivation sealed in prison, yet still talks with Eastern Land's best clan's clan head like he has the advantage. It actually looks like this big boss from Eastern Lands has his hands tied by a junior, ha ha ha. Crossing his hands, Wu Qingqiu enjoyed the show. Zhua Fan was equally calm, considerate as he pointed. Shangguan clan head, I am now a prisoner of Seabright sect. My safety is guaranteed with the jail barrier in place. No matter what you try to do, it won't work. If you really want to punch me, then just like I said to Miss Morong, you'll have to go ask sect leader Ling. Or maybe you could break it yourself. With your strength, that should be doable. Though that would be mighty rude of you before getting approval. That's not how the clan head of the best clan in Eastern Lands acts. Ugh, Gu Yifan, are you a prisoner or a guest? The barrier is clearly keeping you here, so why are you talking like it's protecting you instead? Like you're the lord here? What gives you the confidence? Sensing the mockery in Zhua Fan's smile, Shangguan Feixiong's face twitched hard. Zhua Fan grasped at the air and his eyes shone. No matter where I am, with all under my control, I am the lord. Just like now. You see me as a prisoner here in my cell, but the way I see it, it is Shangguan clan head that is the one imprisoned. I can do whatever I want here, even tend to my wife. But Shangguan clan head can't beat me, nor take it out on me, all because of this flimsy barrier. Ha ha ha, I only have a few of words for you. You can't touch me. Who do you think among us is the real prisoner? Zhua Yifan cocked an eyebrow, then walked to Chow'er looking after Chu Qingqing. Chow'er combed her hair. You're much better at it than me. It's the first time doing it for both of us, so why are you so good at it? Because we're girls. That's talent. Sort of. Shangguan Feixiong's mouth twitched as Zhua Fan did whatever. Then his words sunk in, the kid is right, I'm more tied down on the outside. Who is the one locked, anyway? A prisoner outside. One that can't even beat a kid, while the one inside so carefree and infuriating to no end. Just what is up with this world? Shangguan Feixiong felt stunned, now realizing that after meeting this brat he was never in control, but the one being controlled. He didn't even have a way to vent his anger. He had to take his anger on himself, kicking himself while at it, giving it some thought. Shangguan Feixiong chose to calm down as much as he could, since anger didn't help him get his divine sword back. He took a deep breath and said, Gu Yifan, don't play dumb with me. You know exactly why I was angry. Soaring Sword is the treasure of Eastern Lands. We made a deal that we would help you if you return the sword. Yes, and I did give it to you. Isn't it right there in your hand? What you brought was a piece of scrap. Shangguan Feixiong shouted. Why did you seal the sword spirit? I was planning to use it to fight Invincible Sword. Now I'll end up dead without even putting up a fight. How isn't this your fault? Zhua Fan raised an eyebrow and sneered. You'd be doomed even with the help of the soaring sword. Since there's no use of you going, I just saved your life. You should thank me. Screw thanking you. You ruined soaring sword. How is that fair? Gnashing his teeth, Shangguan Feixiong flicked the sword and demanded, You have to unseal it, or else. Bam! This time it felt like a mob was barging in here as all kinds of experts rushed inside the jail. Zhuo Fan regarded everyone, then turned to Shangguan Feixiong with a chuckle. Shangguan clan head, to be honest, I did seal the sword spirit to take the soaring sword from Shangguan Fian. I was in such a hurry when I left that I forgot to unseal it. It's my oversight, so after all this time trying and failing to unseal it yourself, it's only right that I should do it to complete our agreement back then. That's right. I didn't mean anything else by it either. I can understand that you were rash and needed to save your son, but as long as you unseal it now, I will forget everything. We are an upright clan that keeps their word. Shangguan Feixiong grinned in delight. He was only after unsealing the divine sword, so there was no reason to explode in anger if he got his wish. Zhuo Fan's words helped soothe his rage, but then Zhuo Fan shifted the subject with a sinister smile. Things have changed now. If you had come by yesterday to unseal it, I would have done it without hesitation. Now, I'm afraid it'll have to wait. What does that mean? Why wait? Shangguan Feixiong cried out. Zhuo Fan curled his lips, sweeping his eyes over the people walking down. Because I'm a weak lamb with 3 blades on me. Since you're my first blade, I can't just give you up so soon, now can I? Shangguan Feixiong gave him a hard look, then turned to the others with a nod. Shangguan Feixiong sighed, knowing his hopes were dashed. Ling Yuntian's group now approached Zhuo Fan. With exalted double dragons looking shocked to the core, it was beyond comprehension how the best disciple in Western lands that had perished 5 years ago would end up here. And as their enemy they grimaced, even as Zhuo Fan remained calm and had no issue facing them. Qian Fan, Steward Qian Fan, Gu Yifan, Grandmaster. Gu, and best disciple in Western lands, Zhuo Fan, right? Looking at Zhuo Fan's calm visage, Ling Yuntian smiled. Sir is known by all of these. Which would be more appropriate to address you? Zhuo Fan shrugged. Feel free to call me anything, sect leader Ling, though I've grown attached to Zhuo Fan. All right, Sir Zhuo. Ling Yuntian nodded. Could Sir Zhuo tell us in detail why in your capacity as Western Lands disciple you haven't returned to Western Lands having recovered, and instead come to Northern Lands? Zhuo Fan turned serious, his eyes flashing. I came to these lands and to your sect, for one thing, the North Sea Demon. What? Ling Yuntian and Ouyang Ling Tian gasped in shock. What do you want with that monster? Chapter 1038. 3 Blades. Chapter 1038. 3 Blades. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuo Fan revealed a vague smile as he refused to answer. It doesn't concern you, so you shouldn't ask. Yes, we don't care about your personal matters, and we can't get involved with Sea Demon either. Ling Yuntian sighed, then his eyes flashed and glared. Then what has Sir to say about Heaven Sealing's sword getting stolen and our barrier destroyed? Did you do this? Yes. Why? Ling Yuntian stared at him hard and shouted. Heaven Sealing's sword is the treasure of my sect, and losing it will lead to countless losses. Sir is from Western lands, and all 4 lands suffer the same problem. Also, we each mind our own problems. So why would you then do something so grave and lead to a hopeless fate? Because he is the herald of calamity, cold and cruel to anyone else's pain or life. Murong Shui shouted in anger. The Central Area's case is the strongest evidence. So many lives were lost at his hand, yet he holds no remorse. Sect leaderling, he cannot be allowed to live. For the good of the world, he has to be removed, or disaster will only keep appearing. The others looked at each other, but their eyes were thoughtful, each with their own idea. Bu Xingyun, who has seen Zhuo Fan for who he is, jumped right in. Miss Morong can't be more right. He has to die. Sect leaderling, he admits to stealing the sword and should be put down as an example. Sect leader Bu, I have told you many times already, you are not in the Sun Sea sect. This isn't your place to make decisions. Ling Yuntian huffed and turned to Zhuo Fan. Sir, you have yet to answer. Zhuo Fan said, Sect leaderling is a sharp man. Is there a need to ask? I said I wanted to go to the North Sea, but the sea bright sect cut off the path to it. The only way to get there is by breaking the barrier. Just for that you had the heaven-sealing sword stolen. Just. Eyeing Ouyang Lingtian. Zhuo Fan chuckled. It might look like a flimsy reason, but it's crucial to me. To go to the North Sea. I stole Heaven's sealing sword, I ruined your barrier, and I would have certainly destroyed your sect or the 5 lands if I had to. Anyway, those that stop me will be crushed. You're a certifiable lunatic, just for that you put all of the northern lands at risk? Ouyang Lingtian roared. You could have said you wanted to go to the North Sea, and we'd have let you. It's easy to have it done. Why did you insist on taking the sword and inflicting such damage? Zhuo Fan glanced at him with mockery. Senior Ouyang, would you have really let me if I asked? Humph, you're too simple. If it would have been that easy, why would the Sea Bright sect be established on the shores of the North Sea, monopolizing its resources? Ouyang Lingtian shook at the response. Also, you might call yourself upright and righteous, but none here is any nobler. Zhuo Fan jeered. Now that's such a big issue, you're saying opening access to the sea is nothing, that a simple request would have been enough. But if the sword had never been taken, would you have indulged a mere merchant's plea? The answer is obvious. How else would you have dominated the sea's exploitation? With that reason, the result is just as flat. Because you had the North Sea locked, I had no choice but to blow this simple matter as going to sea out of proportions. Because you stopped me, I had to move you out of the way, first to continue my path. If you want to blame someone, don't blame my extreme methods, but your greed in stopping everyone else. Ling Yuntian's lips shook and relented a nod. Yes, with Serge being a merchant, your approval would have likely been rejected. If I were in Serge's place, I would have stolen the sword as well. Sect leaderling, how can you say that? Just for going to see the entire Northern Lands population is at risk. How can they compare? Murong Shue's glare never subsided. Just for himself, he spits in the face of virtue and good. His heart is twisted, but also strong. He has to be put down. The others nodded this time, but then shook their heads soon after Zhuo Fan grinned, and caring for his safety, even taking time to mock her. Miss Murong truly is a warrior of justice. A shame the world isn't filled with people like Miss, dead set on purging evil. Some don't wish for my death. I fear your wish will have to go unanswered. Humph, be smug all you like. I'm sure sect leaderling will uphold his principles and knows not to show any mercy against fiends like you. Murong Shue glared in hatred, then cupped her hands in hope. Sect leaderling. That's enough, Miss Murong. You don't have to say it. I have made up my mind. Murong Shue perked up, taking it as a sign that Ling Yuntian took her side and was about to bring Zhuo Fan to justice. Sir Zhuo, will your guard return? Zhuo Fan nodded with a smile. Of course, you saw it yourself. She came to break me out, but I needed to tend to my wife, so I didn't leave. She'll be back, though, in a few days to go to sea. Good, then we'll wait till then. When she comes, I will personally escort you all out to sea. Ling Yuntian hesitated as he cupped his hands, then left Ouyang Lingtian and the people of the Sea Bright sect understood and left as well. Murong Shue was left dumbfounded. Still as a statue. W, what is this? Why is he freed? He killed so many of your Genesis stage experts and stole your sword, but you're just going to move past it and even escort him to sea? What is going on here? Murong Shue was utterly confused, while the rest knew why this happened. Shangguan Feixiong had just gone through a verbal clash with Zhuo Fan, and Zhuo Fan was in no rush to unseal Eastern Landsword. But that didn't stop him from feeling so down. He asked, pointing at the soaring sword, Kid Seiwen, I'll wait. Wait for me before the sea. All right, but you better not forget this again. Who knows how many years it will take for us to meet again. Shangguan Feixiong sighed, and left exalted double dragons hesitated before saying, Zhuo Fan, we're happy you're alive. We wanted to look into what happened to you. I understand Exalted's difficulty, and Master had settled everything in my stead. I am instead very grateful to you for looking after Chu Qingqing all these years. I have yet to step into Double Dragon Manor for even one day, but I can be considered one of you still. You can put your mind at ease, exalted. I will always be thankful to Double Dragon Manor and Western Lands. Joie Fan spoke over them, exalted double dragons, nodded in relief. They feared Joie Fan would have hated them for not dealing with the sex back then and letting Chu Ching Ching turn like this with a devious, otherworldly genius around and a monster watching them from shadows. The two never felt safe now, though, hearing Joie Fan's gratitude. They finally found Zen after a couple more words. They too left now there was only Wu Qingqiu, Shengguan Qingyan, Morong Shui, and Morong. Lai Morong Shui was overcome by confusion. Brother, what is this? Why has sect leader Ling shown such leniency to this demon after all the hurt he's caused? Swear, sect leader Ling is in charge of the sect and needs to think of everyone. Morong Lai took a deep breath. Morong Shui said, still baffled. If sect leader Ling is acting in everyone's interests, then he should know how much of a disaster he is. He can't be left alive. Now that he's set free, many more people will get hurt. Yes, this demon ought to be snuffed. If I live, more would die. Joie Fan patronized. Miss Morong is so focused she saw me for what I am, a true demon that spreads pain and suffering. While Miss Morong wants to see me dead, I have too many demon progeny around. I could stand before you and present my neck, yet you still wouldn't be able to touch a hair on it. Ha ha ha. What are you saying? For the Thecnobabble impaired, I am a demon reaping countless souls, but Ling Yuntian, Ouyang Lingtian, and even exalted double dragons are my children. They may deny it, but they know in their heart that they have to keep this true demon alive. Morong Shui winced to a fan, continued regardless of her feelings. You think you're the only bright enough to see me for the danger I am? They all know. The minute I walk out will be sure to cause more suffering somewhere. Alas, their hands are tied, for I have on me 3 whimsical blades, flying away the minute my soul leaves my body. They'll never see them again. That's why they can't touch me. 3 blades. First is the Shangguan clan's soaring sword. If I die, soaring sword remains sealed. It translates into the fall of the Shangguan clan, and with northern lands and eastern lands trapped, the other lands would fall as well. For the second blade, Heaven Sealing Sword, is the same with Soaring Sword. The third blade, Devil Mountain. Double Dragon Manor had been scared witless 5 years ago when Devil Mountain took the stage and would never do anything to a Devil Mountain disciple, lest Devil Mountain would burn whole of Western lands in anger. Joie Fan's eyes flashed. They don't care about the casualties, only about getting the Heaven Sealing Sword and unsealing the Soaring Sword. This affects their future. The constant cries of the masses fall on their deafened ears, as all of their focus is set on the land's unification. They only care about losing their status and sex, not for the countless poor souls in pain and dying. That's why I said reporting me will only make it worse for you. Because you said too much, they won't touch me. I am now a prisoner, but I control their fates. It is not I who is locked away here now, but you, righteous warrior, obsessed with killing me. Bam! The 4 Snow Peak elders suddenly appeared with grave faces. Sect leader Ling has ordered us to watch over Joie Fan and the others. Chapter 1039, Sword Stars Oppression. Chapter 1039, Sword Stars Oppression. Proofreader, Papatonks. Morong Shui shuddered as she watched the 4 old men with shaken looks. Sect leader Ling sent the venerables to protect a divine sword thief? How does that make sense? Are they afraid that his henchwomen will be back to break them out? Ha ha ha, Miss Morong, you know already. I'd have walked ages ago if I wanted to. Why would I need to stay here and even have these coots watching over me? Joie Fan sneered. Moreover, Ling Yuntian knows I want to go out to sea and won't leave even if I can of my own free will. Setting up such a strong guard for someone like that hardly makes any sense. Or are you still scared I'd escape despite wanting to be here? Morong Shui's eyes shook, and she gritted her teeth. Morong Lai sighed and pulled her hand. Sure, let's go. Sect leader Ling said it's for the greater good. How is that so? Morong Shue stared at the four elders. Seniors, I just wish to know, what is sect leaderling's real reason for sending you to watch over a prisoner that doesn't want to escape? The four Snow Peak elders muttered to themselves before High Venerable replied, Miss Morong is sharp. Sect leader did send us to watch him. He might not want to leave now, but what about later? With that woman's incredible strength, only the four of us could stop her from breaking in again. As for the other reason, High Venerable hesitated. What other reason? Morong Shue knew it, but still insisted on hearing it. The four Snow Peak elders lowered their heads, giving Zhuo Fan the opportunity to condescend. Miss Morong, you're being hard on seniors. Do you really want to tear the last shred of cordiality? Ha ha ha, I bet you know already. The seniors are here to guard me, as in protect me, lest a certain someone gets the bright idea in the heat of the moment and kills someone of my immense value, making the two divine swords to be lost and damning the four lands, especially when that certain someone has such an incredible brother. One'll need extra protection, no? Morong Shue glared at him as her lips shook. Then she turned to the four silent venerables. Their silence said it all. With a huff, she stormed out in indignation and fury. Morong Lai looked at them once and shook his head as he followed her. Only the four elders, Zhuo Fan's team, Shengguan Qingyan, and Wu Qingqiu remained. I've never seen Sister Shue so overcome with anger. Shengguan Qingyan sighed. Feeling sad, Wu Qingqiu nodded. She believed she was ridding the world of evil for the common good. But the people on the same path as hers turned their backs, actually being cautious around her. It might not be just as simple as anger for Miss Morong, but disillusioned. She got here on the firm belief that good triumphs over evil, only to find that she is the only one willing to face a demon like me. Getting disappointed with reality is a given. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan laughed in mockery. Shengguan Qingyan rolled her eyes and blamed him. It was all going fine so far, so why did you have to antagonize Sister Shue further? I didn't do anything. She chose to walk this lone path herself. Zhuo Fan spoke. Humanity is filled with endless desires, and where there's desire, there's evil. Few in this world have a true righteous and benevolent heart, while the great majority who walk this path could never come to free themselves of their demons. She wants to go further on the path of purging demons, and she must bear the solitude and betrayal. Only by persevering through this can she reach the height of righteousness. But by being too rigid, one breaks easily. In this world, righteous cultivators have it hard to achieve their path, either follow the crowd and ruin their paths, neither demonic nor righteous, always a stranger wherever they went, or die at the hands of others in this messed up world. But righteousness has a natural shortcut over the demonic path, having grown above the mortal coil and the worldly affairs. Shunning self-indulgence and feeling for the world's energy is the easiest way to achieve it. That's why demonic cultivators enter the world and understand it, while righteous cultivators enter the world and overcome it. Rise from the mire unstained. Cleanse oneself in clear water without being tainted. Thus, Brother Wu, you're also a righteous cultivator, very much invested in it, which is why, as a friend, I advise you to see the world in all its colors, then return to cultivate in seclusion. The secular world is too chaotic for a true, righteous man to walk the path. Wu Qingqiu pondered and cupped his hands. Thank you, Brother Zhuo, for your guidance. We've also been guided. The four Snow Peak elders nodded and bowed before Zhuo Fan in admiration and sincerity. Sir is a demonic cultivator, yet your wisdom transcends it. We are grateful for your words. As the sect is now in danger, we are too preoccupied to mule them. We shall delve into these words once this problem passes and, like Sir said, not let the world impede us. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. I'm talking to my brother here, not you. Tell that to someone who cares, humph. The four sat before the cell with a smile. Like experts that have surpassed the world, Wu Qingqiu and Shengguan Qingyan chuckled, looking at Zhuo Fan with respect. Zhuo Fan hadn't said it to them particularly, But the words of wisdom were immensely valuable, which is why the elders would lower their pride and bow to him. Juefan was a true friend to say those words to him while the people in the dungeon were struck with inspiration. The outside people still indulged in their worries and affairs. Sect leader Ling, do you really believe he'll return the sword? Bu Xingyun was panicking, whining in Ling Yuntian's ear. Even if he does give it back, you're just going to ignore all the deaths that have happened in the sect? Even if you don't kill him, you need to make an example out of him. We need to do right by those dead elders. See, Bright Sect needs to mind its name. Giving him a frustrated look, Ling Yuntian sighed. Sect leader Bu, now I know why Sun Si Sect would incite Frigid Rain, Sword King, to destroy it. The problem doesn't stop with your people. Sect leader Ling, what are you implying? Bu Xingyun looked lost. That sneaky punk is clearly behind the disaster of Sun Si Sect. What do I have to do? Ling Yuntian cut him off with a wave. As sect ruler, we need to have perspective. Juefan is very cunning and an expert in passing the blame. You saw it too. We went to him and he didn't deny anything. Always finding an explanation, always having an answer. But the thing we wanted most, we didn't get. The soaring sword remains sealed. The heaven-sealing sword is still gone, and he still has leverage on us. What do you suggest? Torture him for them. He made his move, so what's there to force? To settle the score for the dead? Haha, he has 2 cards of ours, and we have reached an agreement now. They will soon be back in our hands. Doing this petty thing to ruin any chance of getting the divine swords, the central area would mow us down. Who will take the blame then? Sect leader Bu. Ugh. Bu Xingyun, choked. Ling Yuntian shook his head and sighed. Juefan's speech balanced demand and compromise, giving us no chance to gain advantage, and letting him control the negotiation. He had taken everything into account before it even began. He had his guard flee with the heaven-sealing sword before we could take it back. All the power we have can't help change this fact. He may be in jail, but looking at it in perspective, we're the ones having our strings pulled in his hands. Moreover, Ling Yuntian turned to Shangguan clan and exalted double dragons with a sharp glint. He is very close to these 2 lands people, implicating many and affecting their interests. They'll never agree to us laying a finger on him. Not that we intended to either, and ruin our chances of getting heaven's sealing sword back. Thus, of the 4 lands, 3 have reached a silent agreement. Only Southern Lands is against it. That Murong Shui has such a stubborn temper, but alas, all alone. From the very start, even with his cultivation sealed, we, the strong majority, couldn't touch a hair on him despite having him surrounded. He is confident in his position. Bu Xingyun's heart sank and a chill went through him. That's terrifying. He gives nothing away while having every one of us tied. Yeah, Western Lands has gone and got themselves a man like no other. But now he isn't part of Western Lands anymore. Looking at exalted double dragons, Ling Yuntian frowned and sighed. Murong Shui stormed out of the dungeon and stomped away in anger. Ling Yuntian watched her go. Murong Lai followed after her, but sect leader Ling went to stop him. He did not mind a girl's temper, but Murong Lai's dissatisfaction had to be resolved. For the good of the alliance, Ling Yuntian bowed and looked apologetic. Murong clan head, forgive me. Heaven's sealing sword is too important to us and have lost decorum. I know, sect leader Ling. I understand my sister's temper the most. Sect leader Ling did what you had to. Murong Lai nodded calmly. Ling Yuntian eased a smile. Murong clan head, I'm relieved to know you are a man of principle. I'll wait for Miss Murong to calm down, then apologize to her and make it right. Report. A disciple rushed over in panic, scrambling to give a jade slip to Ling Yuntian. Sect leader, there's an urgent report from the front lines. The army of the Sword Star Empire, led by Dragon, Cleaving Sword King Danqingshin, is advanced on northern lands. What? Everyone was stunned at this grave news. Sword Star Empire's oppression had begun at last. Chapter 1040, Bloodthirst. Chapter 1040, Bloodthirst. Proofreader, Papatonks. So little frigid rain. In a pitch-black forest, beneath the black clouds, Invincible Sword was sitting cross-legged on a rock with his eyes closed. Before him was the most familiar person, on their knees and presenting an icy sword with utmost respect. Bali Yu had returned to the Empire's camp the minute she stole the sword. To give Heaven's Sealing Sword to her patriarch, Bailey Yutian gave her a sharp look, grinning and gesturing for the divine sword to shoot in his hand. Ha ha ha. Yes, you've done great this time. You brought back Heaven's Sealing Sword. See, bright sex barrier will be nothing but paper now. I can blow at them and they'd be crushed. Your feat is remarkable, ha ha ha. Thank you, Patriarch, for your care. I am grateful. Bali Yu cupped her hands, then hesitated. Patriarch can see that my success is due to Zhuo Fan's cunning plan. He deserves credit for my feat, but he is now imprisoned and cannot bask in Patriarch's blessing. Would it be possible to save him, Patriarch? Waving the sword around to get a feel of it, Bailey Yutian paused and his mood fell. Zhuo Fan, is it that Qian Fan pretender? A Devil Mountain disciple that threatened me and 5 sword kings with our lives got himself caught by some nobodies in the Seabright sect? Humph, he's just a joke after all. Patriarch, please, I saw that even in the few times he moved, he's at a soul harmony stage, cultivator at least. It's not amazing, but he has guile, though he loves prancing. Bali Yu bowed again, pleading. With Seabright sect having caught him and I stealing the divine sword, they are sure to take it out on him. I don't know how long he'll last. I just hope Patriarch will lend a hand in teaching Seabright sect a harsh lesson. Show Patriarch's might and generosity by nurturing him. By saving his life, it will be 2 birds with 1 stone. He would be in immense gratitude and would swear his life to Patriarch. Bailey Yutian raised an eyebrow and glared at her. Are you telling me what to do? Never. Bali Yu shuddered and crawled on the ground. Bailey Yutian mocked. I had to go with him to see through his skills and the limits of Devil Mountain. Now, Devil Mountain no longer seems as insurmountable as before. The kid is so weak, of no importance. But Patriarch. Silence. Bailey Yutian roared at her interjection. His eyes were sharp. Bailey Yu, you're only breaking more rules with your actions. Has it been fun these last few days? You dare argue with me? The only reason I have ignored your repeated disregard is because you brought Heaven's Sealing Sword. Now leave. Bailey Yu hesitated, but still pushed on. Patriarch, you may be weak, but just as shrewd as the Prime Minister. He would be a great help to you, Patriarch. The gain of this sword is all due to him. I only ask that Patriarch save his life and inspire him with your favor. Bam! A huge force struck Bali Yu and sent her flying through dozens of trees. She landed hard and coughed blood from the impact, but her eyes no longer had anger in them, but stubbornness. Bali Yu, I told you to be quiet, but you just won't listen. This is what you get for defying me. Bailey Yutian showed his power, his icy bloodthirst. Bali Yu shuddered, her heart tensed. Whoosh. Thunder, Sword King, flashed between them, just then noticing the situation, and Bali Yu. The rough man could glean on what happened. He bowed to Bailey Yutian and presented a jade slip. Patriarch, Prime Minister, sent word. We can start in 10 days. With oppression from all sides, the 4 lands would crumble soon. I know. Bailey Yutian took the jade slip and placed it in his ring after reading it. He then left, though his icy voice still echoed. 10,000 lashes. Make her remember her place. Bali Yu bowed and walked to Bailey Yu and helped her up. Just what happened? Patriarch should be thrilled you brought him Heaven's Sealing Sword. So why? I asked Patriarch to save the kid. But Patriarch refused, wiping her bloody lips. Bailey Yu sighed. I thought Patriarch would agree seeing the Heaven's Sealing Sword in my hand, but... Bailey Yu complained. Yu, why even bother? Patriarch only wanted to know his limits, and had no other intentions for him. Patriarch had said, these days the kid is sly and should be removed if there's a chance. He was waiting on your return before making a decision. With the kid caught, then Patriarch has no fear of Devil Mountain. It's good enough he doesn't kill the kid himself. Why then would you beg him to go? Patriarch wants to kill him? Why? Bali Yuyu jerked with a start. He's no sword king or cultivator in the Genesis stage, but he has amazing talent and bravery. His future is limitless, so why is Patriarch? Bailey Yulei sighed. Yuyu, Patriarch is the strongest man. While he laments how lonely it is at the top, does he really want to be defeated? Humph, you'd best not take his fondness of outsiders, like Danqing Xin and Shangguan Feiyun, seriously. Patriarch only saw that they posed no threat to him, while the kid, while you were away, had shaken him up with mere words. The attitude and aura almost had Patriarch soil himself. Even we fell for it. That's why Patriarch was respectful to him, but also on guard. Now he learned it was nothing more than a ruse, only giving him more reasons to kill the kid. His bluffing now, but his potential is undoubtedly real and could become a threat. Patriarch isn't about to overlook him. And you say he's skilled in mind games and arts, which makes him that much terrifying. Patriarch looks down on sword kings because they can never reach him, not even together. Bailey Jingwei is also ignored with his sharp mind because smarts hold no power over true strength. He can kill him whenever, but by being skilled in both aspects, one could rule the world. It would ruin Patriarch's aspirations. The more you begged for the kid, the more his fate was sealed. Patriarch must kill him? Then what do we do? Bali Yu shook, her eyes trembling, and her fists clenched. Bailey Yulei frowned. You! There's something wrong about you ever since you returned. Why do you care so much about his fate? You've always kept to yourself so far and have killed scores of experts these centuries without ever flinching. Why then just a few months with that kid had you go against Patriarch for him? Yuyu. Brother Yulei, I don't want to be lonely. Bali Yuyu's lower lip quivered, pleading. Brother Yulei, I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me. Now, that Patriarch wants to kill him. Could you do something to save him? He's sure to be immensely grateful. Bali Yuyu even kneeled pa. Bailey Yulei clutched her arm and took a deep breath. Yuyu, you're asking the impossible. Nothing can stop Patriarch from killing someone. Brother Yulei, I beg you. Bali Yuyu teared up, her face most earnest in her please. Bailey Yulei sighed. Get up for now and let me exact your punishment. Just give me time to think about it. Brother Yulei, thank you so much for your help. Bali Yuyu brightened and smiled regardless of her wounds. Bailey Yulei had a wry smile. Yuyu, you've really changed. It's good you learned to smile. Chapter 1041, Surrounded. Chapter 1041, Surrounded. Proofreader, Papatonks. 3 days later, the Seabright sect was officially at war. All disciples were armed, ready, and pumped to fight. They had pills, spiritual weapons, spiritual beasts, everything with the repeated flashing of the teleportation array. Motes of light floated down like stars, illuminating the faces of the other 3 lands, reinforcements. Western lands disciples had come to realize on that day at that stage that it was Zhui Fan who had struck last. They hoped to visit him, but with the war upon them, the situation was too dire and they were refused. The best disciple in Western lands had returned, and they wished to bask in his glorious presence, even as a prisoner, especially some of his old pals, wishing to talk about the past. But the martial law in the sect prevented all that. As for the elders, they had never left the main hall. They had been looming over the map of the 5 lands with increasing worry and constantly debating on the right tactic. The enemy was taking them by the storm, with Invincible Sword having already slipped deep into their lands and in hiding. He felt like a hanging axe over their necks. Many experts were left behind, so the main base wouldn't fall so quickly. But with the front line having Danqing Xin, the casualties would mount fast. This war was hard, especially being pushed from 2 sides. Bailey Jingwei is a true tactician, having Invincible Sword's team slip into our lands to control our reactions. While they can bide their time, we need to think twice on every action. We can only watch as our front lines get pushed back, watch as death looms ever closer. Ling Yuntian was bleak, looking at the other experts. Do any of you have any ideas? Please share it. Morong Lai shook his head. We're mostly fighting men. Fighting alone is more our style, and we are unaccustomed to such large-scale battles. And there's also Bailey Jingwei manipulating the board from behind. This only makes things worse. Western Lands has a few deep thinkers and men of military expertise. They protect Western Lands borders, but we didn't bring them. They would surely have a solution. Exalted He Ran spoke with a frown. Ouyang Lingtian nodded. These years the Luo alliance has experienced immense growth with the military clan leading them. The Western Lands should be under their control. Yes. Ever since they came in, Western Lands' safety has only solidified. Ha! Exalted by May laughed with pride. A shame they're left as Western Lands defenders. Just one of them coming to Northern Lands would have been of immense help in making sense on how to counter this grave problem. Bu Xingyun had a wry smile. Exalted by Mei Sure is confident in Western Lands' defense. Then, when the central area attacks Western Lands, there'll be no need for our help, yes? You should be able to last for a long time. Humph. Exalted by Mei glared at him. Report. A disciple burst in and presented a jade slip, not to sect leader Ling, but to Exalted Double Dragons. Exalted, there's an urgent report. Western Lands is in danger. What? Exalted He Ran snatched the jade slip and gasped. Zither Sword King is marching with his army on Western Lands. Everyone gasped. How can it be? Does Bailey Jingwei plan on taking 2 lands in this war? Is Central Area that strong? People, Western Lands is in peril. Can you? Exalted He Ran cupped his hand with a heavy look. Bu Xingyan scoffed, enjoying his pain. Exalted He Ran, you needn't be hasty. We all know Western Lands has the most capable Luo alliance tending to its borders. They won't fail. It's best we address Northern Lands issues first before tending to Western Lands. You, Exalted He Ran gnashed his teeth and flicked his hand. Inform all of Western Lands people. We're returning. Exalted, please, we need to stay united. We're not abandoning Western Lands. Don't listen to sect leader Bu. Ling Yuntian bowed in apology. Exalted He Ran bowed back, looking guilty. Sect leader Ling, I am not so petty. We just can't ignore our home's plight. We can't help Northern Lands in this, I'm sorry. Once Western Lands is safe again, we'll be rushing to help Northern Lands. The 4 lands are of one body, helping each other in need. Ling Yuntian was very courteous. Western Lands is in danger, and you should by all right go protect them. Once Northern Lands is stable, we will provide help. The Exalted Double Dragons bowed once more in gratitude. The people of Western Lands soon gathered outside the hall, ready to head back. The other 3 landsmen saw them off, but then another disciple rushed to the elders with a jade slip, bowing to Morong Lai. Clan head, Wine Sword Immortal is leading an army for Southern Lands. Please return and fight him off. Southern Lands as well. Morong Lai shook in shock, just as another disciple shot for Shangguan Feixiong with a jade slip. Clan head, Eastern Lands reports that Shangguan Feiyun is marching with 3 million strong on our borders. Please make a decision. Clan head. Now Eastern Lands. Shangguan Feixiong's mouth twitched and paled. Everyone else was looking agape. Northern Lands was at war, and now the other 3 lands were engaged in battle as well. What was worse? Each front had a Sword King leading them. What's Bailey Jingwei thinking? Is he planning to take all the lands by going all out? Ling Yuntian slumped from the shock. They say Bailey Jingwei is a mastermind of complex plans, subtle and sharp. Why then would he risk so much by attacking with everything and leaving himself open? Central Area is now open. Doesn't he fear an attack? Even with Sword Star Empire leading an entire land, it still needs all the manpower it has to war against the other 4. Any unrest in their empire might prove fatal. So why? Everyone was overwhelmed by such a seemingly rash tactic. Shangguan Feixiong sighed. We can talk all we want about his risk, but if we don't do something, it'll be our homes that fall. Sorry, sect leaderling, we need to defend our homes. Goodbye. We want to help northern lands, but we need to protect our lands. Forgive us. Sect leaderling, we're friends, but we need to look after ourselves first. Forgive us. Everyone rushed to say their apologies to sect leaderling and got ready to leave. They had to return home and not dally in another's ling. Yuntian sighed in defeat. We'll be broken, all of us, if we scatter. Ask yourselves, which land can stand up to central area by itself? Northern lands are under the greatest danger of destruction, with invincible sword and 5 sword kings lurking in shadows. We will be the first to fall, followed by everyone else, one by one. We need to stand together and not let him pick us apart. Otherwise, it'll only be a matter of who dies last. Sect leaderling, we understand, but who do we sacrifice? Exalted He Ran looked long at Ling Yuntian. We all know victory comes from unity, while death follows apart, but we have no choice. I'm from Western lands, so of course I think for their safety. Shangguan clan head is from Eastern lands and wants our best too, and would not agree. Isn't that the same for Northern lands and Southern lands? Bailey Jingwei has given us a very tough problem that no one can address, left to handing a blank paper with no answer. The others could do nothing but cup their hands. Bailey Jingwei is a true mastermind. He can see how weak we are, and even though we gathered to help, it's just a joke now. He is a demon toying with us. Who the hell would sacrifice 3 lands over 1 safety? The others shook their heads, neither wanting to give up their homes and domains. It was like waiting for Central Area to trap them and snuff them out. They sighed powerlessly and in despair. In the end, our fates are in heaven's hands. We can only last as long as we can manage. Maybe one person can solve this. Someone barged into their despairing speech. Everyone turned to Shangguan Feixiong in shock. Who? Gu Yifan. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes flashed. Western Land's best disciple, Zhuo Fan. He once helped us steal our sword back from Central Area, even clashing with Bailey Jingwei and winning. The only one who can stand up to Bailey Jingwei's sharp mind is him. Chapter 1042. Beseech the Devil. Chapter 1042. Beseech the Devil. Proofreader, Papatonks. All eyes shot in his direction, then agreed after a moment of reflection. They all had first-hand experience of Zhuo Fan's twisted and insidious mind. The exalted double dragons could be said to take the cake if there was a prize involved. Zhuo Fan's skill is unquestionable. He was well known in Western lands back then, even laying the foundation of today's Luo alliance. It's a good thing we can consult him on the 4 lands plight, and we might even make a comeback. Then we should forget our status and seek his counsel. You can't. Ling Yuntian agreed after a pause, with Murong Shui glaring at them in cloying righteous anger. He's an abomination, a herald of calamity. By no means can we hand over command of countless lives to him so he can do what he pleases. It will lead to unspeakable horrors. Ling Yuntian frowned and spoke solemnly. Does Miss Murong have a better idea for our current crisis? Murong Shui could find no words. Ling Yuntian sighed. Miss Murong, forgive an old man's crude words, but what man would care if the water is good or not when thirst has him in a tight grip? As the urgent matters stand, we need someone that can help us overcome this situation. We're at a point when any idea, even rotten, would be better than nothing, regardless of consequences, Miss Murong. We're open to any ideas you might have. But if you have none, I hope Miss won't be so adamant to refuse. Thank you. Ling Yuntian bowed with a cold face, then addressed the rest. Let's go see what solution can the Western Land's best disciple provide. He led the way to the sect dungeon, his eyes gleaming with hope. Murong Shui was the only one left behind in defiance. Still, Shuer, the bigger picture takes precedence. Stop only thinking of your biased principles. Murong Lai patted her shoulder with a sigh. Murong Shui was indignant. I'm not biased. The guy's mind is warped. Any plan will be twisted. uncaring for the dangers it might bright or the damage. Just why does sect leader Ling insist on beseeching a devil? In despair, man will take anything, be it from God or a devil. Murong Lai sighed, patted her head, and followed after them. Their last hope was Zhuo Fan, who beat Bailey Jingwei at his own game. They gave little thought to the indignity and cruelty such a plan might involve. Inside his cell, Zhuo Fan was enjoying his rare moment of bliss. He was meticulous in combing the white hair of his wife. Flowing before him like a silver waterfall, Zhuo Fan smiled, filled with tenderness for the woman. He prompted Chow'er for an answer. "What do you think of your dad's combing this time?" "Better." Chow'er giggled with a thumbs up. Zhuo Fan nodded and said, "Of course, after 3 days of combing. I've got the hang of it, though even combing forever feels short. I just hope to give your mom the best combing I can before leaving. I wouldn't want to leave in regret. Dad, we'll be getting back from the North Sea safely, don't worry." Chow'er noticed his worry and soothed him. Zhuo Fan said, "Who can tell for certain? It's best to plan ahead. It's because of doing things without a plan last time that I hurt your mom, leaving like that. I will think it through now and go without regret, so that if I don't return, I'll leave your mom cared for." Zhuo Fan's eyes moistened as he looked at Chu Qingqing. Chow'er shook her head, falling silent. "You're a true man, sir. I have seen many demonic cultivators, men that have gone far on the demonic path, betrayers and savages, but none like sir, so intoxicated with love, outdoing many great righteous cultivators too." The 4 Snow Peak elders were touched by his display of affection and sighed. "You look nothing like a demonic cultivator. When we heard of your past exploits, then see you now, it's like you're a different person. Has sir relinquished the demonic path, or have you reached a stage beyond our scope? We are simply bemused." Zhuo Fan sighed. "Who can say? Emotion is the bane of the demonic path, but in the words of my masters, a checkpoint in the demonic path. So I plunge in head-on, deeper and deeper. Even I have yet to realize just how far gone I am. I may just be walking a new demonic path, though I've only passed the start of it with no end in sight. Or maybe I've strayed from the path without even knowing it." Chapter 1043 For Land's Grand Marshal. Chapter 1043 For Land's Grand Marshal. Proofreader, Papatonks. "Ah, right, young Master Zhua. Central Area's army." Ling Yuntian rushed to bow as he spoke. Zhuo Fan dismissed him with a wave. "There's no need of that, I already know. Central Area's army is not only attacking northern lands, but the other 3 lands, a war on all fronts and with no hope in sight." They all shook and stood there in stunned silence as they stared at Zhuo Fan. "Sir has such a cunning mind." Ling Yuntian's eye twitched, shaken awake, then bowed again. "We've only got word of these attacks, yet sir knows without even looking." "Yes, it's as sir said. Dragon Cleaving Sword King is leading the attack on northern lands, while the other lands each have a Sword King taking charge of those large armies as well. We can't do anything and can't think of what to do. Just come ask for sir's advice." Zhuo Fan smirked. "It's quite simple, really nothing to it." "Simple." Everyone twitched. Their eyes glazed over in confusion. With this grave danger from being attacked on 4 fronts, Sir Zhuo thinks it's nothing. Is that just boasting, or does he have some godlike strategy to help us out of this? Everyone was looking incredulous and stunned. He can't be playing with us, can he? Exalted He Ran got caught off guard as well by his boasting. "Zhuo Fan, you're the pride of Western lands. We all know of your skills, but you can't look at this with such disregard. You need to be serious. Bailey Jingwei himself came up with this plan, the best mind in the central area. There is no room for errors. You need to think things through and come up with a complete response. How to deploy troops, how to repel the enemy, to provide support, to bait the enemy, to charge. All of these need thorough thinking. You are dealing with the most famous mind, and any mistake." Exalted He Ran, "You're just enumerating military tactics. but I'm not too familiar with these. If you're after victory, you're welcome to see Luo Yinhai. He's much better than me. Zhuo Fan cut him off with a smirk. You know him as Luo clan head, having grown in the military and of deeper knowledge of wars than myself. Ugh. Exalted He Ran was stumped. I mean, Zhuo Fan, don't joke around. Luo Yinhai is a fine man, yes. But if he could fight the shrewd Bailey Jingwei, then the latter wouldn't have put us in such a predicament by going to war on 4 fronts, so when not even an unbeatable general can handle him. This shows that military tactics have no place here. Zhuo Fan smiled. Exalted He Ran, you're already off the minute you thought about scoring victory. This isn't a matter of fighting. They all flinched in bewilderment, with Ling Yuntian cupping his hands. Sir Zhuo, if this is not war, what then? Who is Bailey Jingwei? Central Area's Sword Star Empire Prime Minister. There you have it. Zhuo Fan cocked an eyebrow. He's no commander or general, but a prime minister. Is he even thinking about fighting you? He's a politician, doing his very best with leveraging. Morong Lai's brow shook and muttered, how is a politician any different from a commander, now that he directs the Central Area armies? He's far greedier. Zhuo Fan replied, there's no guile without trade, but there's none more cunning than a politician. A commander is always focused on gaining ground, on winning one battle at a time, while a politician is only thinking of fattening his pockets with every action while ignoring the details. He wages war with 4 lands, but does he really want to fight them all? His true purpose is to scatter you. No matter which land you choose to defend, the other 3 will be sour, making it easier for them to get the lands. It's a far more effective plan than fighting for every inch of land. In other words, it's a mind game of no consequence, how the 4 wars end, while your changing mindset is. They all bobbed their heads. Seeing reason, Ling Yuntian bowed again in respect. We thought of this as well, but with Sir's analysis, we came to see how insidious it is. But understanding is one thing, while dealing with it is another. We ask for Sir's advice. Couldn't be easier. If Bailey Jingwei was a nice guy, I'd be stumped as well. However, a guy enacting such a sneaky ploy has no place among the righteous. I can read him like an open book. When he had Bailey Yutian go to northern lands with 5 sword kings, I had it all figured out. Neither of us are nice guys. Only a man of our devious minds can understand the other. Zhuo Fan had a cryptic smile, and the other smiled in joy. Eager to know what his counter was, Zhuo Fan chose silence, unnerving them at the worst moment and making these old guys' faces go red and beaming at him with endless hope. Bro, where's the rest? Zhuo Fan spoke with pride. By the way, we've yet to establish terms. Let's begin, shall we? They all flinched and almost fell. Their faces twitched and faces fell. Oh, right, nothing's free in the world. He's certainly not above asking to be paid for his rescue plan. Zhuo Fan sure knew how to sell himself, showcasing his talent before talking terms. Mentioning them any sooner, and the other party would never believe in his skills. Zhuo Fan led the talks, making it so he was their only hope of survival. They were stuck with him, and as desperate men clinging for any lifeline, they would take his terms without question. Sir Zhuo, we will agree with any terms you might have. Just help us against the Central Area's invasions. Ling Yuntian turned serious as he spoke in earnest. That was all Zhuo Fan needed to hear, his face beaming. First off, this 5 fronts war shall be under my command, with none permitted to interfere. Of course, since only you can handle Bailey Jingwei, we will follow your lead. Everyone gave hasty nods. Second, I want you to vow on your path to look after Qingqing's safety. No matter what happens, you are to protect her and look after her. Well, they looked baffled, with Zhuo Fan continuing. Anything can happen on the battlefield. At my sudden demise, you can't even look after my family? I can't leave this world knowing my wife isn't taken care of. Vow and I'll be at ease. Oh, I see, sure. They all saw reason, making their vows based on their own path in cultivation. Once a cultivator made such a vow, it was for life. He had to fulfill it, or his entire beliefs would crumble along with feeling the wrath of heaven. None would take such a promise lightly, though it was just over some widow. What was the worst that could happen? Only exalted by May and exalted Hay ran, felt their faces heat up. Zhuo Fan was clearly hinting at them saving Yilin, while leaving Chu Qingqing to die mere days before. At the stage such was their bad luck, as Zhuo Fan was not around the past years to see how thoughtful they were of Chu Qingqing all this time. Doing this had made it seem that this 5-year-long favor was for nothing. Opportunity is much more praised than prevention. Exalted Hay ran side Zhuo Fan was at ease now that this condition was accepted. He no longer needed to worry about Qingqing's safety when he'd be out at sea. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and said, "Next isn't much of a condition. It's not exactly right for a convict to command the elders' forces of every land." "Oh, right. We are fully committed to supporting Grand Marshal Zhuo of the Four Lands in defending our homes from invadors. All lands, sects, and clans are at your disposal." Ling Yuntian bowed, the rest followed suit. "May Sir be appointed as Grand Marshal of the Four Lands to fight back the enemy." "In that case, what are you waiting for? Get this Grand Marshal free, and out there fighting Bailey Jingwei. Do you expect me to fight him behind bars?" Zhuo Fan cocked an eyebrow and smirked. Chower giggled at the side. The merchant guards bowed with smiles of respect. Sir Zhuo is wise beyond his years. He had no worry of being exposed since he already had everything in control. He's like a god. Chapter 1044, Gotten Too Far. Chapter 1044, Gotten Too Far. Proofreader, Papatonks. Sister Schwer, you can relax knowing my dad, Brother Morong, and everyone else are men with experience in the cultivation world. They've seen it all and aren't about to let some fresh punk delude them. Before the main hall, Morong Shui was still looking distressed and in anger. Ouyang Changqing tried appeasing her, but the girl of his dreams was most definitely not interested. Western lands people had long since gathered, waiting on Double Dragon Manor's orders to return and defend home. Northern lands' best disciple words earned their cold glares. Yi Lin sneered as he mocked him. "You sure got a mouth on you. You're not grown up yourself, yet you call another a punk?" "Yi Lin, I have beaten you once, best disciple in Western lands, and I can do it again. Care to try? What's to fear fighting a dumb brat? But get one thing straight, I was the best disciple before, but with my elder brother back, I'm now second. Though I'm more than enough for the likes of you. Then I'll just start the thrashing with you before settling with your convicted elder brother. The best disciple in the land is a crucial part of my future. I'm not about to give it up, humph." Crack. Ouyang Changqing's knuckles crackled as he made his fist, giving Yi Lin a cruel smile. Yi Lin cocked his head, unafraid, smirking as he stepped closer. The two were ready to draw blood. The audience shook their heads. With Morong Shui totally ignoring them, Wu Qingqiu waved his hands, stepping between them with a smile. "Little junior brother, we're still guests here and can't start a fight with our hosts. Young Master Ouyang, you're the image of your sect and shouldn't fight with your guests. Both our elders will have to punish you if you go through with this. We're about to part anyway, so can we please not do it with a fight? Let's all go our way on good terms." The two huffed and looked away. Wu Qingqiu shook his head. The others nodded at him. Yi Lin may be the strongest in Western lands, but the leadership will fall to Wu Qingqiu with his elegance. He knows how to look at things in perspective. Only his broad mind could keep the peace between the sections. No other disciple was better than him. Humph, it might be late for a fight, but we still need to clear some things out. Unable to flex before the girl of his dreams just because of Wu Qingqiu's smooth words, Ouyang Changqing grumbled. "I'm a reasonable man. I know you think the world of Zhuo Fan, but isn't it because he's stronger than you? Ha ha ha, I saw it myself, so I know it's true. That is his talent, while his few decades on this earth can't possibly compare to the experience my father and the elders have accumulated. You think he can handle something my dad can't? I only put myself in their stead and called him a punk. What's wrong with that? Wu Qingqiu shook his head. Young Master Ouyang is right, but you fail to understand Brother Zhuo. Only by experiencing his tactics will you realize just how much better he is than many seniors. Why else would sect leader Ling and the others lower themselves to ask for a convict's help? Anyone would try anything when the time is dire. Ouyang Changqing rolled his eyes. Yulin smirked. Why haven't they come to you then? Ouyang Changqing glared at him in anger. The elders then walked over. Having returned from the dungeon, only this time, they looked much brighter and worry-free from the time they left. Among their starry eyes of hope was Zhuo Fan holding Chu Qingqing's soft hand, and Chower and the elders were even acting like servants, bowing and scraping before Zhuo Fan like he was their ancestor. The disciples were mind-blown. What just happened? Why is a convict being hailed a hero? The elders are cloyingly nice with him, like they had no dignity to speak of. Ouyang Changqing gaped there for a while, giving time for Zhuo Fan's procession to step inside the main hall. Ouyang Changqing then woke up and rushed to Ouyang Lingtian. Dad, wait, what's going on? Why are you so nice to some punk? Does he have such a brilliant plan to turn things around? Not yet, but soon. Ouyang Lingtian patted his head and rushed inside the main hall. Ouyang Changqing's face twitched and looked back at the rest of the stunned disciples. The damn punk sure has talent to swindle that many old men. I just can't figure what grand plan he might have to even get my dad, a seasoned cultivator, to follow him around. Just what did he do? Everyone shook their heads. Ha ha ha, I did tell you. There are times when Brother Zhuo is shrewder than any elder. Wu Qingqiu proudly said. Ouyang Changqing was most confused, still in disbelief. A damn brat just hoodwinked a bunch of seasoned old men. They were all grinning from ear to ear, like they just found their Lord and Savior. How could a brat pull it off? Godlike. Why hasn't Dad ever looked at me like that? Ouyang Changqing was stumped, while Morong Shuai totally blown away. The most she believed was if these elders accepted Zhuo Fan's foul plan, the world would be in chaos from his despicable and cruel methods. But now it was way worse. These leaders of their own land had not just accepted his plan, but even worshipped him. Now the damage he'd do would only multiply. Morong Shuai caught Morong Lai, who was last to go in, with unease and held his hand. Brother, what's happening? Weren't you all going to ask him for a solution? Why is he out and about? I'd get it if it was his condition, but why are you all acting? Swear, you weren't there, so you don't know. We've sorely underestimated him. Morong Lai took a deep breath. Morong Shuai said, Brother, what does that mean? His mind is sharp and astute, his plan sublime, inhumane even. I am of firm belief he may be the only one in the lands that can stand up to Bailey Jingwei. Morong Lai looked ecstatic. We had yet to explain Bailey Jingwei's actions to him, yet he already foresaw it. We ourselves just became aware of this, but he already knew. Isn't that divine? That's why we discussed having this danger on the lands averted, making him the 4 lands Grand Marshal, in control of everything. Everyone will heed his orders, including us. What? Everyone around gasped and began whispering. Grand Marshal of the 4 lands, equal to becoming the ruler of them all. And he can deploy anyone? Yeah, it's that simple, but in times of war, we need him to resolve this crisis. Looking at them, so shocked, Morong Lai waved his hand. This is the situation. Now I need to go in and discuss further matters. For once, Shangguan clan head's choice truly lives up to the hype, ha ha ha. Morong Lai slipped inside the main hall, leaving all these people behind to process such explosive news with dumb looks. Wu Qingqiu was the first to come to, looking at his fellow disciples, Yulin, and at Ouyang Changqing. See? This is the power of the best disciple in Western lands. While we are squabbling over who is the best disciple in the alliance, he already took control of the 4 lands, becoming their Grand Marshal. The elders are even following his orders. This is the gap between us. We are his peers, yet left in the dust, so far behind we can't even see him. Everyone bobbed their heads, then shook it in helplessness. The more behind they were in regards to that monster, the more despair they felt the most prideful man ever. Ouyang Chongqing felt the sting, much deeper than the rest. Chapter 1045, Only a Game. Chapter 1045, Only a Game. Proofreader, Papatonks. No! Any rotten plan coming from that demon would bring about only suffering and pain. He can't be left in charge of the war. There'll be no one left alive to pick up the pieces. Murong Shui was outraged and stormed into Main Hall, fanatic in her conviction. The others were still trying to come to terms with what they saw to stop her for the first time. Ouyang Chongqing's ego was so crippled, he could not attend to the girl of his dreams. He sighed to Wu Qingqiu. I've never seen those old guys bow to anyone in my life. That best disciple of yours is a freak of nature. Since you're around him all the time, isn't his style influencing your cultivation and mind? We're still safe, since he didn't get to reach Double Dragon Manor when he presumably died. Our minds had yet to be corrupted, ha ha ha. Wu Qingqiu's group flinched and let out a dry laugh. Ouyang Chongqing nodded. What a stroke of luck, for if it were me, just being constantly compared with such a freak would give me a stroke from all the anger. Just how did he get to lead the Four Lands? Ouyang Chongqing sat down with a dull gaze. Murong Shui just drove right into the main hall. She saw Ling Yuntian and other Genesis stage experts pushing their Yuan Qi in Zhuo Fan's acupoint, and soon his cultivation was released. Zhuo Fan stretched a bit and nodded with a grin. Murong Shui glared at him, but bowed before Ling Yuntian with a request. Sect leader Ling, you said you were only going to hear his plan. Against my principles, I choose to respect that decision. But his mind is warped, so how can you let him take control of the Four Lands armies? There are too many lives at stake. The slightest mistake will lead to a genocide. Miss Murong, that's exactly why we have all come to this decision to let Sir Zhuo be in charge. Only he can fight a genius like Bailey Jingwei. Miss Murong, would it be possible to address your bias to Sir Zhuo? Ling Yuntian regarded her with a cold eye. Fed up with this zealous girl Murong, Lai no longer took her side after Zhuo Fan made him a believer out of his skills. Swear this is for everyone's good. So don't let emotions or your moral obligation cloud your judgment. None of us could suffer the consequence of losing this war. Then I request for Zhuo Fan to be under constant supervision, to stop him from abusing his authority. Every order needs unanimous approval before it is to be carried out. It's the least measure of safety we can have to prevent his poison from seeping into the masses. Murong Shui stared burning daggers of hatred at Zhuo Fan, with not even her own brother taking her side. She knew Zhuo Fan had them wrapped around his finger, and she could do nothing to change that. She could only compromise, no longer demanding his swift execution, and instead try to curb his authority. The others looked hesitantly toward Zhuo Fan. It would be a good idea to have a safety net in this chaos, stopping everything from devolving any mistake into a catastrophe, so they turned to him to see his take on it. Zhuo Fan spoke uncaring. Have you all forgotten my first condition back in the dungeon? Complete control. And now you want to restrict me? Humph, fine, I'll just quit. Wait, Sir Zhuo, that's not it at all. Just. Ling Yuntian was panicking, glancing at Murong Shui. It's only Miss Murong's idea for an extra precaution. In the case when Sir overlooks something, we can easily address the issue before it devolves. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow in mockery. Overlook? Ha ha ha, true, no one is perfect and infallible. I will be sure to make mistakes. Then does Sir? Not happening. Just as Ling Yuntian saw hope, Zhuo Fan snuffed it out, flying into a rage. Sect leader Ling and Miss Murong, will you take war for? The two had no reply ready. They were mere cultivators and knew little about war and all its aspects. Isn't it mere fighting the other over resources and land? What else can it be? Zhuo Fan's eyes shone coldly. War is a game. A game? Murong Shui flared. You're treating the horror and suffering the people endure on the battlefield as a game? This is absurd. How do you intend to win this war if you can't even take it seriously? Sect leader Ling, I still believe he isn't right for. Miss Morong, you're the one underestimating war. Zhuo Fan shouted over her. War is only a game. All the people, assets, and locations are the pawns of the player. To win the war, one must use the least of his pawns to grasp most pawns of the enemy. Life and people have no place in it. A commander having a heavy conscience over these trifles can never win. And when he loses, the casualties mount in piles. Morong Shue's lip shook, unable to retort. Zhuo Fan's gaze was ice, staring her down. What war out there doesn't have casualties? Using your own people's lives in exchange of the enemy's. This is war in its purest form, a concept no one can deny. Miss Morong goes on and on about suffering and pain. Then do you believe that you can win on kindness alone? Taking command yourself will be the worst choice. Making you an aide is handicapping the commander. For victory, yes, I may trade a large number of lives, but your kindness will stop my orders and result in a larger bloodshed. You want to save the people or win the war. Which is it? I think that winning the war means saving the people, ha ha ha. Morong Shue's eyes flashed with determination. But it was Ling Yuntian who stepped in to speak what everyone else believed, but all here knew winning the war and saving the people hardly were connected. Central Area's army was marching on northern lands, but the people might survive. All this talk was to give oneself a just cause. If nothing else, they just wanted to win the war and not save the people. Morong Shue's stance was thus in conflict with everyone else's from the start. As we gave our word to let Serge decide everything, and he doesn't agree, we will have to veto your request. Wait. Zhuo Fan held up his hand, looking from Morong Shue to Ling Yuntian. Sect leader Ling, I'm not doing this to hold all power, but because the circumstances demand it. All here know that Bailey Jingwei is leading the other camp, with nothing holding him back. I need to do the same, and not out of arrogance and my infallibility, but that even if there are things overlooked, you might not notice them, but will distract me from doing my job with your actions. Ugh. All tensed and gave a dry smile. Sir Zhuo, what are you? Ha ha ha, sorry, it may be hard to accept, but it's the truth. We are all clear on the fact that the war is a game between me and Bailey Jingwei. No matter what move we make, only we grasp the full implication it entails. Anyone watching would be blind to its intricacies, so it's best to not interfere. Just do what I say and don't ask questions. Are you calling us fools? Bu Xingyun's face twitched and fell. We can't even join the fight between you two. Zhuo Fan smiled. We each know ourselves best, which is why this is the second reason I don't need assistance, ha ha ha. Ha ha, that's a mockery if I ever heard one. You just got out of jail and started acting smug. See how I throw you back in. Bu Xingyun grew enraged as he let anger get the best of him. Even attacking Ling Yuntian jumped before him. Sect leader Bu, you're in the Seabright sect. Can you please have some of the courtesy of a guest? Serge could have just as well been a simple guest, and you'd have still had no right to treat him like this. Bu Xingyun's mouth twitched, gnashing his teeth as he glared at Zhuo Fan. Sir Zhuo, forgive me. Sect leader Bu is a bit rash. Don't mind it. He let out a deep breath, sighed, and bowed to Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan smirked at Bu Xingyun. No worries. I've seen my fair share of mangy curs. I don't have time to pay attention to all the barking. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1046. Weird Order. Chapter 1046. Weird Order. Proofreader, Papatonks. Why you? Bu Xingyun's eyes were bloodshot, but Ling Yuntian's glare made him flinch back. The latter turned to Zhuo Fan with a bow. Sir Zhuo, please. Allow me to introduce you to the current affairs before you pass your instructions. Ha ha ha. The front lines are strong with east and west. That won't be necessary. Zhuo Fan held up his hand, his eyes flashing. Sect leader Ling, I already said that Bailey Jingwei is a politician. His attention is not on the front lines, so we don't need to give them any either. Ignore the front lines. Morong Shue winced, never hearing this kind of reason before, and defied his logic. As the Grand Marshal, you refuse others' advice, you ignore the battlefield. So how then do you intend to fight? How do you intend to command? I may not be versed in the art of war. I have seen my fair share of leaders and their armies, but never one to give blind orders like you. Who do you think you are, divinity? Behold and witness my divinity, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan shrugged, leaning into the tutor chair as he ordered, have all lands, beside northern lands, withdraw all troops, give up the borders, and fall back to the center. Like Double Dragon Manor for western lands, the other lands must have their own main base. They have 3 days to gather in their respective bases. What? Everyone went wide-eyed. Ling Yuntian's hand still gesturing at the map, shaking from fright. Sir, Zhuo, come again? All lands are to fall back to their bases? That will leave the enemy free rein to march into our homes, and we'll have a harder time fighting back. That's like giving the lands to the enemy. Sir Zhuo, please. You don't trust me. Zhuo Fan scanned their eyes, mocking. Fight it yourself, then, and leave me out of it. No, Sir Zhuo. We only find this order a bit ridiculous. We just don't know what Sir is aiming for by doing this. Ling Yuntian saw the others looking bleak, as well Zhuo Fan smirked. Didn't I tell you? When I make a move, you won't see its truths. Isn't this obstruction of duty? You are to relay my order at once. Any delay from your part will lead to defeat and disaster, which is on you. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes and exasperatedly placed one leg over the other, taking his time to relish the song he was humming the war, and anything were of no concern to him, but that did not apply to the rest of the frantic leaders here, who were a distressed and nervous wreck. Zhuo Fan's foresight and insight were unquestionable. Stealing heaven's ceiling sword from them, helping Shangguan clan retrieve Soaring Sword, and fighting Bailey Jingwei spoke for themselves. Then there was now Zhuo Fan throwing out a random order with no rhyme nor reason, no different from suicide, and expecting them to just accept it by following this over, they thought, would lead to the fall of the 3 lands in under a month. And by denying it, the lands might hold their ground for a year or so. At best, just what secrets does his order hold? The oldies looked at each other, stumped, filled with hesitation. Sect leaderling, brother, I told you this guy's head is filled with rotten plans. Don't be fooled. He's making every land commit suicide. Murong Shue's decisive tone cut the awkward mood. Using this chance to get back at Zhuo Fan and expose his foul deeds, the others frowned, eyeing the casual Zhuo Fan, undecided still. Zhuo Fan smirked. The only reason you bowed and scraped for my help was to get you out of this crisis, no? Since you're going to die anyway, you're afraid of going a couple days earlier? Humph, bunch of ninnies. Guard! Ling Yuntian had enough of worrying and ordered. Notify all lands to fall back. Abandon the front lines and return to their bases. They have 3 days. Yes, sir. The man flew away to pass his words. The others panicked. Sect leader Ling. Anything is better than nothing. Do any of you have a better idea? Ling Yuntian sighed and said, Sir Zhuo, we've followed your wishes. What do we do next? Zhuo Fan smiled. Wait. The next step comes after 3 days. In 3 days we'll see the effect. Ling Yuntian startled him, and everyone else. Zhuo Fan nodded. Yep, haste makes waste. Lighten up. The lands won't perish in 3 days. Also, since you trust me, I will cooperate on my side as well. Zhuo Fan turned serious and gestured for a merchant guard to lend him his ear. You can go back and report to Wu Randong at once and restore the company in the central area. No, in every other land than northern lands that is at war. So soon? But with the lands at war. It's only war that offers us unique opportunities. While the factions fight, we may still be walking in shadows, but we will expand greatly from it as well. Once dust settles, the chance will be missed as well. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed. Pay particular attention to the central area and move fast and hard. I want Bailey Jingwei's worst nightmare to come alive before his eyes. He won't be able to stop it then, ha ha ha. The man nodded and bowed. I obey, sir. He took the other caravan guards and left. Watching them go with such haste, Ling Yuntian was bemused. Sir Zhuo. I had our own men work in tandem with your movements. Devil Mountain may be a hidden sect and doesn't involve itself in mortal affairs, but it still holds sway among mortals. I had them make contact and help you stir some trouble for our dear friend Bailey Jingwei. Truly. Ling Yuntian lit up with joy and bowed. I am most honored to have the great Devil Mountain offer assistance. Thank you, sir, for everything. The others were also happy they made the right choice in putting Zhuo Fan in the lead of the Alliance's army. He even got his sect involved, which was a cause for celebration. Zhuo Fan was modest. It's nothing, just a few mortal forces. Though my sect is hidden and away from mortal affairs, ha ha ha. It's not to help you by any means, just expanding my power while I'm at it. I'm not a soup kitchen, so I don't work for free, ha ha. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, while Murong Shui stared intently at him, like looking at a criminal. Your game won't work. Not while I'm watching your every move. In Western lands, Alliance leader Luo Yinhai with Zhuge Changfeng, Lung Wucheng, and Yu Ming were in the commanding tent discussing plans with the Sai people. It's been 3 long days of analysis and scouting. Do you have any idea how to fight the enemy? Luo Yinhai looked haggard as he turned to his aides. The 3 shook their heads in helplessness. Yu Ming was the most versed in military and pointed at the enemy camp on the map. The enemy is Zither, Sword King, of no military background and knows nothing about leading soldiers. Their ranks aren't tight either. Anyone else would have had an easy time fighting them, but they have the advantage in power. Their 20 million men are most experts, with Zither, Sword King, the strongest of them all, able to fight thousands. No matter what tactic, what maneuver, what trap we use, their power will mow us down with a frontal assault each time. Yu Ming glanced at Lung Wucheng. Don't look at me. Since you can't figure it out, you think I can? My opponent ain't any weaker than yours. Lung Wucheng sighed and shook his head. All strategy is based on overt and covert tactics. Overt regards formations, while covert hide intentions to a sinister outcome. However, while Zither Sword King leads the army, a practitioner, the strategist is none other than the best official in the central area, Bailey Jingwei. He is skilled in overt and covert alike. It's impossible to grasp any weakness to exploit. I have taken a look at the situation, and Bailey Jingwei has made his deployment unbreakable. The only chance I can gather is from the rear. Rear. Yes, he is attacking the 4 lands with an army each, so the lands would have no time for anything else, a masterstroke. The 4 lands can no longer take care of each other in this case. But it's also because of this that he leaves his back open. We need to make a commotion in his rear, and will force him to withdraw in panic. Lung Wucheng spoke solemnly, pointing at the map. However, all paths out of the 4 lands are blocked. Who will reach his rear? That's why the only weakness can't be leveraged. Bailey Jingwei's armies march with all their might upon us, trapping us and leaving us no room to win. Chapter 1047, Heaven's Secrets. Chapter 1047, Heaven's Secrets. Proofreader, Papatonks. Luo Yinhai overlooked the tactical map in deep worry. Yes, with the 4 lands under attack, making use of the front to gain any semblance of success is an impossibility. Sir Lung, is there any chance whatsoever that we can attack the central area's heart? Rumors divide and conquer, or any tactic to raise doubts and crumble their military offensive. Ah well. Lung Wucheng shook his head, turning to Zhuge Changfeng, passing the baton. Clan head, Zhuge Changfeng has once been an empire's prime minister. He is much better suited for this, ha ha ha. Luo Yinhai looked on to Zhuge Changfeng with hope. The Luo clan's great steward Zhuge Changfeng rolled his eyes and sighed. Sir Lung, you're so sly, knowing there's no solution, yet dragging me into this. Are you mocking me? Lung Wucheng lowered his head with a grin. Steward Zhuge, there's no weakness we can exploit inside their hearts either. Luo Yunhai's eyes shook and his heart fell. Zhuge Changfeng pondered before sighing. Clan head, forgive my incompetence. The Sword Star Empire has been a baffling nation since inception. Normal tactics don't work on it. In normal empires, the emperor would be in constant dissent with his officials, one side striving to better the other. And while a direct military offensive would show little result, inciting the enemy court would pit them against each other. Luo Yunhai knew this all too well. His godfather was a victim of it. He hated these suspicions between the lord and its subjects, but also knew their value in any empire, no matter how strong suspicions between the lord and the officials would lead to mistakes that brought about collapse. One could have a godly commander and flawless officials. As long as the emperor mistrusted them, he would do all he could to relieve them of their lives. What came next was the enemy nation having their trouble, while the crisis was averted in this situation. Luo Yunhai, a modest man, found this underhanded tactic the most plausible. In any case, all is fair in love and war. Winning was all that mattered, with no tactic being avoided, be it overt or covert, though judging by Zhuge Changfeng's look, such a tactic wouldn't work. Clan head, the Emperor Bailey Jingshi is no less able as Bailey Jingwei, thus making such a tactic fruitless. But the crux is the sword star empire structure. Unlike your average empire, and sowing dissent won't work on it. The emperor and the prime minister are appointed by Bailey Yutin. This leads to no conflict between the two and thus no suspicions. Zhuge Changfeng's side, the emperor doesn't fear his minister, and the same goes for the latter. The two work together like a double-headed dragon in ruling the empire. And even if, by absurd dissent works, Bailey Jingwei's military command won't be affected by the emperor, the only appropriate target for dissent is Invincible Sword. Alas, he's a madman, thinking himself on top of the world and finding even the Sword Star Empire beneath him, telling him that Bailey Jingwei is against him. He won't believe it, or even care for that matter. He is certain that nothing in this world can make him fall, and thus nothing matters. Yeah, Invincible Sword is beyond arrogant, which makes him a worse target for dissent because he doesn't care in the first place, no matter how things play out. Lung Wuchang hesitated. Fear is the easiest emotion one can leverage. Without it, he won't argue with vile people. Zhuge Changfeng eyed him. Sir Lung, who are you calling vile? Steward Zhuge, you understand that some debatable methods are unavoidable in diplomacy. I'm not cursing you. Lung Wuchang chuckled. Zhuge Changfeng smirked. We're all wallowing in trickery, with neither one of us any better. But isn't it all for the swift rise of the clan? True, we had to pull strings and make sure our new allies would see dangers outside the protective embrace of our Luo alliance. Hasn't Steward Zhuo put us here for this reason? Had we been any upright, Steward Zhuo would have never chosen us as clan head's aides. Yu Ming sighed. They all had to nod at that, with Lung Wuchang resuming. Clan head is just too morally bound, leaving the dirty work to us. Only now we three have the same enemy, yet can't help clan head overcome this problem. I wonder how Steward Zhuo would approach this? The four looked lonely, with Luo Yunhai still feeling the loss of his friend, Brother Zhuo. I thank you for all you did in the battle with Chuanrong and preventing the people of Tianyu from suffering. Now all of Western lands are in peril. Just where are you? What should I do? Yunhai. A soft voice suddenly broke the silence as two figures burst into the tent. Luo Yunhai gasped. Sister, Yuer, what is it? Since Yuer has finished her current supply orders for the Luo Alliance, we came to see you. Luo Yunchang smiled at her brother, looking fondly. Yunhai, you've been looking a bit thin lately. You need to take care of yourself. Luo Yunhai chuckled. It's fine. The other three bowed to the girls. Greetings, young miss, madam. There's no need for courtesy. You have been helping Yunhai all this time, and I am grateful to you for relieving some of his worries. Luo Yunchang replied in kind, with the three bowing again. Young miss is too kind. Husband, we heard Sister Lei say the enemy camp is showing movement. They're going to attack soon. Do you have any plans? Yuer went to Luo Yunhai's side and looked concerned. He and the other three men all shook their heads. Yuer fell silent before smiling. Husband, don't worry too much. Sister Schwanger had gone to her ancestral home to pray for a solution to her ancestor spirits. She said heaven might help us turn things around. Holy Maiden has seen the disaster coming and has divined that overcoming it is beyond impossible. It's no less difficult from Tianyu's last war. All we can do now is do our best and follow heaven's will. It is up to it if we are to perish. Luo Yinhai shook his head with a bitter look. Yue rushed to console him. Husband, Sister Shuang said the ancestors' divination is far more precise than hers and may work in our favor. Don't be discouraged. Hasn't the last crisis of Tianyu been solved as well? That was with Brother Zhuo's help. Holy Maiden said he operates outside heaven's will and can change it. How then could we, mere mortals, fight the heavens? The others' hearts sank. Zhuge Changfeng and the others refused to believe this, that they would rather fight the heavens above. But as matters stood, it was out of their hands. They had no hope but to trust in fate. No matter what, let's wait for Schwanger's reading. If heaven can't be swayed, we just do our best to fight it. Luo Yunchang spoke with determination. The others nodded whoosh. Yun Shuang rushed into the tent and gasped for breath. A sliver of hope just appeared. What? The fates are shifting. Yun Shuang panted. Yet her eyes glimmered with hope. I've read the heavens with the ancestor spirits' help when going to my home and saw total demise. But then the fates changed. A power unlike any other is shaping fate, presenting us with a sliver of hope. We may fight this war yet. Luo Yinhai gave a shaky question. Holy Maiden, what do you mean? It's just like the last great war of Tianyu. Someone outside fate is fighting it. The central area's certainty of winning against the four lands might crumble. Luo Yinhai gasped. Another man like Brother Zhuo is involved in this war? But Holy Maiden, didn't you say there are no other people outside fate? How come another one appeared so soon? I am unclear. Could it be a flood of unchained people? Frowning, Yun Shuang looked confused. But with how big the world is, there's a chance a second one had to appear. Luo Yunhai squinted, incredulous. People are born between heaven and earth. Just how coincidental this is for a person outside fate to appear right when the need is dire. People, I have a strong feeling this person is known to us as if. Luo Yinhai trailed off. Even he felt his guess was outrageous. Their disappointment would be too great if it proved to be false. Yet his eyes were filled with excited tears, his heart drumming in his chest. Brother Zhuo, have you come back? Chapter 1048 back. Chapter 1048 back. Proofreader, Papatonks. Marshal Luo, orders are here. An elder came into the commanding tent as he boomed. The hopeful, curious, and tense gazes had him pause. What's wrong? Luo Yunhai smiled and said, Commander Taoba, what urgent order has you running here? Rai, Tuoba Taishan, you were quite cocky when you were invited into the Luo Alliance, and even gave us many conditions. It's only due to our kind clan head and his respect for seniors that he agreed without delay. If it were me, humph. Lang Wucheng mocked. So what is it this time, that you have to relay the order in person? Back then you insisted on being on equal grounds with clan head. Not even the 7 houses joining the Luo Alliance first were treated as such. Yet a defeated Chuanrong commander. Sir Lung. Luo Yinhai cut him off with a look, cupping his hands to Tuoba Taishan. Forgive me. Steward Lung has been rude to commander. Please accept my apologies in his stead. No, Marshal Luo, it's I who is sorry. Tuoba Taishan's side, Sir Lung is right. I was very rude when I joined Luo Alliance, proud of my seniority. But that was because of being a defeated commander, thinking that I would receive a cold reception. I never thought I'd see Marshal Luo to be so courteous and magnanimous. I feel ashamed. I've come to know many of the Chuanrong imperial family's secrets, and when I should have been silenced, the Luo Alliance took me in and protected me. I thank you so much, Marshal Luo, for saving my life. Tuoba Taishan gave a deep bow, and Luo Yinhai went to help him up. Commander Taoba, You're an undefeated god of war like my godfather. It is Luo Alliance's honor to have you. I could never watch as a hero commander ends up framed. Commander, you needn't trouble yourself over such small things. Tuoba Taizhan was touched by Luo Yunhai's respect and grabbed his hand. Luo clan's righteousness is without equal. Commander, you're exaggerating. Luo Yunhai smiled, then grabbed his hand hard. Luo Yunchang and Yuera were watching contentedly. Only Lung Wuchang remained unfazed, speaking with Zhuge Changfeng. Old man, you'd think the old commander would be as excited if he knew you had a hand in making the Chuan-Rong Emperor wish him dead. Zhuge Changfeng shot him a sharp glare. Don't let clan head hear you. Let only us know of these dark things we do. The old coot was conceited when clan head invited him in, but now look at him. If not for clan head having a soft spot for him, and with us needing to expand our military, you'd think I'd waste time over this? Anyway, it's our duty to help clan head in his plans. The same thing Steward Jua had done back in the day. The only reason my trick worked was because the Chuan-Rong Emperor already had a bad impression of the old man. In the end, it's the conflict between lord and official that led to this. I only revealed the issue to him and helped him out. Or once the situation devolved any more, they would be at each other's throats, and there was no saving we could have done. Even if clan head finds out at some point, I did it for the greater good. Lung Wuchang nodded. Who hasn't? Ha! Commander, you were in quite the hurry. What has you coming here in person? Luo Yunhai asked Tuoba Taizhan started, and then recalled his mission, presenting a jade slip in anger. Marshal Luo, this is preposterous. I don't know what those leaders are thinking about sending such an absurd order. They want all the lands beside northern lands to fall back to their bases. Isn't it clearly making it worse? The defenses and arrays on the borders are our greatest asset. Leaving them behind will give the enemy free rein to cull us down at every turn. Just what are those guys doing? Is this true? Luo Yunhai gasped, reading the jade slip at once, and his face sinking. Letting the enemy take our greatest defense is simply suicidal. Tuoba Taizhan nodded in anger. Precisely, those morons haven't ever stepped foot on a battlefield, and now they start giving orders to us, seasoned generals. Our defeat is certain now, though even defending wouldn't assure a win. Will at least last for a lot longer. Marshal Luo, you're the exalted Double Dragon's appointed chief of Western Lands' defenses before their departure. All of us will listen to you. What should we do? When the general's away, the Lord's orders can't reach him. Luo Yunhai threw the jade slip as he spoke harshly. No one with the slightest military common sense would ever follow such an idiotic order. They're treating war as a game. Yes, those leaders must have lost their minds to send such an order. One land's leaders might propose it, but the other three actually accepted it? Are they all idiots? Tuoba Taizhan ranted, his anger burning brightly. I just can't believe our leaders would be so useless. Just how on earth did the four lands even survive for so long against the central area's attacks? The others nodded, and Lung Wuchang spoke. Clan head, no matter who issued this infantile order, it comes from straight above. Refusing, even if winning, will incur punishment. Maybe it will mark the end of our place in Western lands. We have nothing to gain from it, so why still fight? There are some things a man must do. A soldier must do his duty. I fight to stop the central area's oppression and trample of the Western lands so that the people can be safe and not for the appreciation of the higher-ups. Luo Yunhai huffed and shouted, as long as there is even a man alive from Luo clan, we will defend Western lands. I am a marshal of Western lands for a reason, and I intend to uphold my duty. Let those leaders go to hell. I still have a conscience. The others' hearts thumped, looking at him in admiration. Luo Yunchang and Yuer nodded in appreciation. Husband is more and more like master. He's been under Zhui Fan's influence from the start. Some things were bound to rub off on him with how close they were. Luo Yunchang smiled. Tuoba Taizhan gave a thumbs up. Marshal Luo is a true man. Since Marshal Luo lives for Western lands, then I shall join you in this endeavor, ha ha ha. Since Clan Head has made his decision, we shall abide by it. Lung Wuchang and the other two bowed. Clan Head is upright and frank, but we cannot let you fall here. What Steward Jua left us to do is to assure this, by doing things the Clan Head can't. Leave the mediating with the leaders to us. But before that, we need to understand what they're thinking. Commander Tauba, which leader proposed it, who was against it, and who delivered it. We need a clear picture to break Clan Head from the stain of defying orders. Tuoba Taizhan frowned. I'm not sure either. I had someone investigate when the order came. It's been a day now. I want to know whose brain is rotten to send such idiotic orders. What right does he have to command us? Report. A shout announced the coming of a guard. Tuoba Taizhan smirked. Here he comes, he come in. Whoosh! The soldier knelt before them and spoke. Marshal Luo, Commander Tauba, the leaders have given us a reply to the order's source. It's from the newly appointed Grand Marshal of the Alliance, the first disciple in Western lands, Zhuo Fan. What? Everyone stared agape. Zhuo Fan? He's not renamed, is he? No, he said he's the best disciple in Western lands. Yue started, then got excited. It's Master. He's alive. Only he is the real best in Western lands, the only one to defeat Yilin. Luo Yinhai shook all over from shock, but then got so excited he teared up. I just knew Brother Zhua. The man outside fate has come back. Yeah, only he is outside heaven's influence. Schwanger beamed. I'll have to trouble you once more. Steward Zhua, to save the people. PR. LOL, so we're going to take back all that defamatory language? Haha. Chapter 1049, Opponent. Chapter 1049, Opponent. Proofreader, Papatonks. Woo! Luo Yunchang could no longer contain her emotions. She had shed so many bitter tears these years, and now could not help but cry again. Yue consoled her. Sister Yunchang, Master being alive is a good thing. Why? That rotten bastard, he hadn't sent a single word of how he's doing, letting us think he was gone, with even his corpse destroyed. Wiping the tears, Luo Yunchang whined, but her eyes were dancing with joy, with a little hint of resentment hidden within. I'll find the dead guy and have him return what interest he owes me from these years, plus more. The others smiled, with Yun Shuang looking happy as she said, Sister Yunchang, you're not the only girl who Brother Zhuo owes. Have you prepared yourself? Luo Yunchang blushed and glared at her. Fine, you can come. Of course, Grandfather had me stay by his side and help him, so coming along is only natural. Schwanger giggled. Toba Taizhan waved the soldier away, then said, Miss Luo, I hope you don't mind, but take Lianer with you as well. Ever since Zhuo Fan left us 5 years ago, Lianer could no longer smile. 5 years ago. Luo Yunchang gave him an odd look. Commander Tauba, have you got it wrong, perhaps? After Tianyu's war, Zhuo Fan had gone to the demon scheming sect, then made his name in the Double Dragon Manor before he had been trapped and lost his life. When did he have the time to see your daughter? Tuoba Taizhan shrugged. It was when news of his death went around everywhere. He appeared in Chuanrong, ruining beast-taming sect and vanishing again. Lianer misses him with a passion. Steward Zhue destroyed the beast-taming sect. Lung Wuchang said, Why hasn't Double Dragon Manor's investigation in Chuanrong Empire brought any results? Tuoba Taizhan shook his head with a sigh. It involved the Chuanrong imperial family's shame. His Majesty ordered everything covered up. Zhuo Fan only destroyed the beast-taming sect, while His Majesty ordered me to kill those royal sons and the casualties that followed. We kept our lips sealed when Double Dragon Manor came around, letting not a single word about this or Zhuo Fan, afraid the secret might leak. Finally, His Majesty wanted to kill me to silence me as well. But it's all thanks to the Luo Alliance that I'm alive with my family. Yeah, we got it from here. Lung Wuchang cut him off. I just want to ask one thing. Commander has been one of us ever since you joined the Luo Alliance. You knew of Steward Joie's survival and saw the young miss in pain, so why didn't you say anything? Yeah, why didn't you? Luo Yunchang stared daggers at him. I've always been respectful to you, senior, yet you're so cruel. Why haven't you spoken of it to any of us? They all surrounded him with savage glares. Luo clan's usual righteousness and upright stance forgave everything, except this one time. They deserve to be petty for once. You knew how much we care for Steward Jui, yet you said nothing. Not even if he was alive. You're evil. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. I had my reasons for not revealing it. I've been a commander in Chuanrong and a loyal official to His Majesty, even if he discarded me. Saying anything would lead to the Chuanrong imperial family's scandal coming out. I am loyal to my country and could not afford such a thing to rock my home. Also, I noticed Chua Fan wanted obscurity. Saving me and my family, the least I could do was abide by his wishes. The others nodded. The old commander was loyal to a fault, so they could understand. Humph, the least you could have done is tell me. Luo Yunchang would not have it. Glaring at Tuoba Taizhan in anger, Commander Tauba, do you have any idea how many tears I've spilled for that heartless man? Tuoba Taizhan bowed. I'm terribly sorry, young miss, ha ha ha. It's all in the past now. Brother Zhua is back, so let's leave it be. Luo Yunhai understood the commander's loyalty and shielded him from his sister's wrath. Where were we again? Oh, the order, it's really ingenious. Tuoba Taizhan spoke firmly, his eyes twinkling. Lung Wuchang's face twitched. Commander Tauba, did we not just hear you call the leader an infantile moron? That was when I didn't know who gave it. Tuoba Taizhan raised an eyebrow. Anyone else would have rotten brains for giving such an order. But Zhua Fan is someone I once fought with, who loves to be mysterious. He has guile, he has awareness, striking out of nowhere with his baffling plans. Who can understand them? That's why I am sure this order is no different. Zhuge Changfeng waved him off with a smile. Commander, did you notice something to call it ingenious? It's because I can't find it ingenious. If any random guy can figure out, wouldn't the enemy do the same? What'd be the point of it then? That's why I'm saying Zhua Fan has some weird yet masterful plans, despite not being in the military. This is what makes them so dangerous. Tuoba Taizhan watched them in sympathy. Luo Alliance's sages. Did any of you notice anything? The trio shook their heads. Steward Zhua's style has no guidelines. We wouldn't have suffered at his hand if we could read him back then. Ha ha ha. Then the order. Tuoba Taizhan turned to Luo Yunhai and grinned. Luo Yunhai's eyes flashed and shouted, Notify all Western Lands forces. They are to make swift departure for Double Dragon Manor. Yes, sir. The guards outside shouted and ran to their duties. At the border of the Central Area and Northern Lands, in the Central Area Army's commanding tent, Prime Minister Bailey Jingwei sat in the main chair with the dragon cleaving Sword King at his side glancing at him. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Dragon cleaving Sword King. It must be what you wanted, leading the army to attack Northern Lands. What do you mean? Dan Qingxin kept a smile on. Bailey Jingwei leaned over. Sword King is from Western Lands and knows it the most, making an attack on it most suitable. But I know Sword King cares too much for Western Lands still, and I'm afraid that you'd be overcome by emotion and would let your old friends go. Unlike Sword King Feiyun, jumping to attack Eastern Lands the moment he heard. He hates the Shangguan clan to the core and wants to end them at his own hand and return to glory. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Prime Minister Bailey's consideration has us terrified. Dan Qingxin smirked. Prime Minister, we've been waiting for so long in Northern Lands, so we must be waiting for the right moment to attack, yes. Bailey Jingwei nodded. Correct. Patriarch has long since ventured deeper in Northern Lands. I am just waiting to coordinate with him and take it all in one strike. Ha ha ha. Report. A shout came from outside the tent. See, the time is night. Bailey Jingwei grinned with pride. Enter. A soldier burst in and bowed with a jade slip in his hands. A message from within containing valuable information. We're all friends here. Speak. Bailey Jingwei picked up a wine cup from the table without a care. Is Seabright's sex barrier broken? Ha ha ha. It'll make Patriarch's attack that much easier. The guard bowed. Prime Minister, Seabright's sex barrier is broken and the heaven-sealing sword was stolen. But from what the jade slip contains, it's not him who did it, but a third party. Someone is after heaven's sealing sword as well. The cup shook in Bailey Jingwei's hand, then chuckled. No matter, as long as the barrier is down, they can no longer hide. It matters not who did it. In any case, once Patriarch steps in, the heaven-sealing sword is as good as his, ha ha ha. The man's brow shook. His jade slip isn't to inform, but to warn the Prime Minister to be cautious. The one who stole the sword is very sharp. 3 days ago was in jail, but he talked his way into earning the respect and worship of all leaders of the Alliance, making him the Grand Marshal of their forces. He said this person is highly likely to be the greatest opponent Prime Minister ever had. He hopes that the Prime Minister will exercise extreme caution. My greatest opponent. Bailey Jingwei mocked. I've been going unchallenged among the lands for years, and hardly are there people that I pay attention to. Since when do I need a spy to tell me to be careful of anyone? Ha ha, absurd. Now who is he speaking of? The man took a deep breath and spoke. He said he was Western Land's best disciple, Zhuo Fan. He had also fought with Sir in the central area, under the alias Gu Yifan. What, Zhuo Fan Gu Yifan? Bailey Jingwei's hand flashed and took out a jade slip. But then he showed a crazed smile. I had men investigate Western Lands to look into Gu Yifan, only to find an otherworldly genius, Zhuo Fan. I knew they were one and the same. Ha ha ha. Good, he is indeed a good adversary. We meet again, only this time we will see just who will have full grasp of the lands. Old enemy. Chapter 1050, The Next Step. Chapter 1050, The Next Step. Proofreader, Papatonks. The aged hands trembled. But as the initial surprise faded, Dan Qingxin curled up his lips. The enemy commander is Gu Yifan. Yes, or better yet, Zhuo Fan, ha ha. Leaning on his chair, Bailey Jingwei sighed, his eyes flashing in excitement. Dan Qingxin sighed. It's hard to believe he's still alive and now becoming our enemy. By the looks of it, Prime Minister, you seem quite happy to find out the same guy you were so insistent on killing last time is now very much alive and in charge of the Alliance's military. Yeah, I wanted him gone then due to the danger he represented. But after seeing the war truly gone, I felt a sense of loss and regret. Such a good adversary was only met once, yet I couldn't even have a true and honest match with him. It was a true shame. Then I found out he survived, and while resentful, the prominent emotion was joy. Now look how soon we are back to fighting each other, and this time we'll have a real match. With the Sword Star Empire against the 4 lands, besides the experts, are around equal in military might. It comes down to us and our tactics, haha. Though it's clear by Prime Minister's deployment that you have the upper hand. To the point in only a couple steps, you will be ready to strike. While he has many steps to compensate for to catch up to Sir's deployment. The war looks settled since it started. He'll have a hard time turning it around with so little time at his disposal. Dan Qingxin smiled, Bailey Jingwei smiled. The world isn't fair. I may hold the advantage now, but we both have around the same assets, his almost equal to mine. It's all down to his skill to overcome the danger. Ha ha ha. Dragon Cleaving Sword King. Who do you think will win this time? Prime Minister, why even ask? Am I not leading the army against northern lands? Do I not want to win? Dan Qingxin's brow shook. Bailey Jingwei gave him a long look, then burst out laughing, his eyes shining. Dragon Cleaving Sword King, I just want to hear your take on it. Last time, the guy had made a truly devious escape from right before our eyes. It's a loss I will never soon forget. I just had him on the ropes, hanging by a thread. So how could I have let him escape? Bailey Jingwei smiled at Dan Qingxin, the latter feeling the cold within. Bailey Jingwei wasn't blaming anyone. But doubt sprouted as to Dan Qingxin's role in Zhuo Fan's survival. Dan Qingxin squinted, his mind processing, while Bailey Jingwei was staring back with a cryptic smile. Report. A sudden shout broke the awkward mood as a soldier rushed in and on his knee. He held 3 jade slips. Prime Minister, Sword King, the 3 lands battlefields have sent jade slips. The Eastern, Western, and Southern armies are all withdrawing. They await Prime Minister's orders. Bailey Jingwei never left his gaze off Dan Qingxin as he chuckled. The 3 lands move as one. Then that guy has made his move. Dragon, Cleaving Sword King. What do you think of it? Abandoning their borders means they've thrown away their defensive positions. Now we can go straight in and take the lands in one fell swoop. Pouring himself a drink, Dan Qingxin spoke. Only such a suicidal action defies logic. The land's borders falling means the sects and clans are on their own, with nothing standing behind them to help hold their ground. Not even your average man would give such an idiotic decision, let alone that twisted punk. What I think is that a trick is at play here. Bailey Jingwei smiled a nod. Yes, Dragon, Cleaving Sword King is right. With his cunning, he'd never make such a rash decision. He must have a plan, or... Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone with another possibility. Give off the image that he has won. What does that mean? Blending reality with illusion is part of warfare. Bailey Jingwei explained, the 3 lands forces have no chance against ours, falling in a year at the latest. But he had given a radical order to disturb our morale, to raise our suspicion where there isn't any and force us to retreat out of caution. This would give them more time to prepare. This might be an empty city tactic. Dan Qingxin nodded. By going straight in, even if it is the empty city tactic, we'll find out soon anyway. Leaving behind such a defensive position would only lead to a crushing defeat. He's risking too much with such a daring move. And if it's not the empty city tactic, hiding something else, we'll be in danger if we follow and might even suffer heavy losses. That's why we'll wait for his next step. The next step? Yes. Bailey Jingwei smiled in confidence. He wants to play games with me, but he must entice me first. A mere empty city tactic that might not even play as he wishes is bound to have a follow-up. Watching his next move will let me know his intentions. If there's an ambush to it, he will try anything to make me take the bait. Report. Another shout echoed, and a guard barged in looking anxious. Prime Minister, His Majesty sent word of an uprising in every domain in the central area. The city lords and the soldiers are having a hard time fighting back. He asks for swift reinforcements. Central area is revolting. Dan Qingxin cried out in shock. How? We made sure every area in the central area was secured before marching. None would dare act out, so why would they do it now? How is it so serious that not even the city lord's forces can cope? Bailey Jingwei mulled it over and grinned. I see it now, a parlor trick. Dragon, Cleaving Sword King. Can't you see it? See what? His linked plans. Bailey Jingwei gave a knowing smile of confidence. I now know why he used the empty city tactic. He first had them fall back to affect my mental state and hesitate on what to do. Then he had the Alliance's spies hidden in the central area cause a disturbance, so that I'll be forced to quell it. It would lead to a lower casualty rate on the lands, and also strike back at us in this timely manner while we aren't ready. Through this chance, he can even have us surrounded, storming the central area. It will turn our hard plan of attacking them all useless by attacking us in the rear. With the morale in shambles, he will have an easy time turning it around. Dan Qingxin nodded. It does seem like it. Prime Minister's wisdom has no bounds. Then His Majesty's request. Report to His Majesty to hold on. In a month I will take the 3 lands, then quell the chaos. Bailey Jingwei spoke with a grin. The soldier bowed and rushed to convey the message Dan Qingxin spoke, addressing it after the 3 lands won't. Dragon, Cleaving Sword King. Just how much trouble could some random spies cause anyway? To even think about toppling the core of our Sword Star Empire, ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei didn't care at all. It's all Zhuo Fan's tactic to split our forces. But I'm too smart to fall for it. Also, I'll be sure to make him suffer for using the empty city tactic on me. Tell the 3 Sword Kings to march into the 3 lands head-on. I want them to take their bases within a month. Yes, sir. A soldier outside replied and left. Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed with victory at Dan Qingxin's pensive expression. In the main hall of Sea Bright Sect, Zhuo Fan lounged in the main seat with unspeakable boredom. Around him were the same oldies frantic and distraught report. A disciple rushed to them and bowed. The others immediately asked, "What is it?" "There's a report from the front. The central area's Sword Star Empire is under revolt, with the Emperor asking Bailey Jingwei for reinforcements." "What?" They all stared agape, then turned a bright face to Zhuo Fan. "Great, Sir Zhuo? Devil Mountain is incredible to even raise chaos in the central area's heart. Bailey Jingwei will now have no choice but go back, ha ha ha." "But," the disciple continued with a pained look, "scouts say Bailey Jingwei isn't heeding the Emperor's order, actually telling the other 3 Sword Kings to press on into the lands. Now the borders have fallen and the armies are advancing towards the land's bases with nothing standing in their way." "What?" Everyone shuddered, plunged into despair from their high. Chapter 1051, Cooperation. Chapter 1051, Cooperation. Proofreader, Papatonks. Murong Xue frowned and sighed. Bailey Jingwei isn't so easy to fool, seeing through the empty city tactic. What now? Once he figures out the ruse, it'll be disastrous. Ling Yuntian turned to Zhuo Fan for help. "Sir Zhuo, what do we do next? Please tell us." Murong Xue smirked and got before Ling Yuntian, and showing no courtesy this time as she reproached, "Sect leader Ling, how can you still put your trust in him? It's because of his dumb idea that we lost 3 lands. Asking any more of his help would lead to the loss of northern lands as well. Even if you don't listen, you'll still lose. What's that got to do with me? TCH. Zhuo Fan scoffed Murong Xue, glared at him. Ling Yuntian ignored Murong Xue as all the elders awaited Zhuo Fan's saving grace. Zhuo Fan smirked. Being awfully obtuse. I've expected this to happen, so rest assured that everything is going according to plan. Humph, more bragging. The enemy saw through your empty city tactic, and yet you still say that? Murong Xue mocked him at every chance. Zhuo Fan smirked. Miss Xue, restrain your wild speculation. I have never said I was using the empty city tactic, now have I? It's only your biased assumption. I had planned for them to invade the lands from the start, to lure them in. Shouldn't we be glad the enemy is playing alone? Luring. Everyone gasped. Murong Xue grew more outraged. Lure? You take us all for military ignoramus? Luring means drawing the enemy into a trap or a favorable position to attack. But from your order, the 3 lands armies have set no ambush, all going back to their bases. What's the point in luring them into your home? To kill you? What do women know of war? It's all about applying tactics and wisdom. Zhuo Fan smirked in disdain. 3 days have passed. Have the 3 lands fallen back to their bases? Eastern lands and southern lands had sent word they did. Ling Yuntian nodded. Only western lands had used a day to question the order, wasting precious time instead of following orders. But they should be on their way still. Zhuo Fan nodded. Western lands, with my clan head in charge of the army, ha ha ha. He's just like his godfather. So hiccups are bound to happen, acting as if not hearing the Lord's orders. But with his just command, while others need 3 days to retreat, 2 should be enough for him. I believe his ranks are the tightest and can reach. Report. A disciple barged in and bowed with a jade slip in hands. Western lands sent word their armies have reached their base, waiting for Steward Zhuo's commands. Zhuo Fan grinned. It's been so long since anyone called me that. They'll soon come knocking, I'm sure. There's no avoiding it, ha ha ha. Guard! Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed. Each land base has a teleportation array to the northern lands. Tell all of them to come to me. Our battle will be in the northern lands. Yes, sir. The disciple rushed to comply, while the oldies were dumbfounded. Exalted He Ran was even panicking. Zhuo Fan, what are you doing? Are you calling everyone here to protect northern lands? What about our homes? Just let them take it. If you just wanted to combine the Alliance's forces to protect one area, we would have long come to an agreement instead of asking for your help. It's because we want to protect our homes as well that we found ourselves unable to come to a decision. So why? Shangguan Feixiong hesitated. Zhuo Fan, as a Western lander, you should have sided with Western lands, so why are you focusing on the desolate Northern lands? Also, what did Ling Yuntian give you to play favorites? Ling Yuntian was frantic to deny, speaking in a solemn tone, but his smile couldn't be hidden. Shangguan clan head, I believe in Sir Zhuo to be fighting for everyone's best interests. Cut the crap. Of course you're on his side, since he's fighting for your home. But what about our homes? Are they just going to be abandoned? Shangguan Feixiong roared, unable to hold it in. Feeling like he was led by the nose all along, Zhuo Fan gave him a cold look, his tone low and rough. You're welcome to fight if you don't want your lands back. But if you do, stop and listen to my orders. The others went quiet, looking at Zhuo Fan with hope. Like Shangguan clan head said, what would be the point of taking the lead if it's just about focusing on defending one land? Zhuo Fan mocked, but would you have been able to focus without me? All of you know survival comes from standing together, but each of you have their own turf. Without me to mediate, you'd all rather die than choose any land to defend. You know deep down that I'm right. Shangguan Feixiong sighed. Yes, none would agree to choose a land to protect. I am from eastern lands and would never abandon my home for northern lands. Why couldn't the rest of you protect mine instead? Everyone must think the same thing. But even so, we'd rather die home than then become another's sacrificial pawns. But you gave us no choice but to abandon our homes and protect strangers. Murong Lai shouted as Shangguan Feixiong trailed off in indignation. You played us into abandoning our homes. Everyone gave a firm nod of approval. Ling Yuntian was the only one beaming, though, finding himself a winner. Don't be so difficult, people. Although Sir Zhuo hasn't been fair, he made a hard decision for us to unite. I promise to treat everyone with utmost respect once they come to northern lands. You're free to feel right at home. Bah! Way to rub it in, Humph. Staring daggers at him. Everyone grew annoyed. This is what the average man would do. If I had stopped here, then there'd be no point in making me the Grand Marshal of the Alliance. While they were all morose, Zhuo Fan smiled that caught their attention. Zhuo Fan continued. When you thought of joining forces, you only thought of defending. But I have no concept of defense. I want them all brought here to attack. You need to risk things to gain something, to let your wife go. That part I'd rather not. Ha ha ha. In any case, the abandoned lands are now juicy meat for the starved wolves. But soon, very soon, I'll make Bailey Jingwei regret even catching a whiff of that meat, forcing him to spit them back out. Worry not. Every land will be back in your hands in time. That I promise. They all were filled with hope, truly. While doubts existed, they had no choice but to play along since they were in the same boat. With the lands lost, they could only follow through Zhuo Fan's plan to the end to get them back. Only Murong Shui, as usual, refused to believe any word that came out of that devil's mouth. She only felt he was deluding them for something or somewhat. Rotten punk. I'm not letting you out of my sight. I'll figure out your game. With the lands lost, that leaves northern lands the only defense. I won't let you cause destruction here as well. In the double dragon manner, Luo Yunhai pointed at the tactical map with a frown. Zither Sword King is marching unhinged right on our tail. There's nothing stopping them. And without the defenses at the border, we thought we'd last barely a month, but now I see even a week is an exaggeration. The land is doomed. Steward Zhua's empty city tactic was seen through. Zhuge Chongfeng sighed in worry. Even the three great minds thought Zhuo Fan used deception in his order. Now they sighed in sorrow at the loss of western lands, for the tactic, failing the tent flap, was pushed back, and Toba Taizhan came in distress. There's another order. All forces of the three lands are to use the teleportation array to go to northern lands. The final battle will be waged there. Everyone gasped. Going to northern lands, not to flee but to fight? Was this Steward Zhua's plan all along? It isn't a deviation. To get everyone to the northern lands? They all were perplexed at the order. What is Steward Zhua even after? Tuoba Taizhan's side, Zhuo Fan is unreadable. I just can't see through him. Chapter 1052, Checkmate. Chapter 1052, Checkmate. Proofreader, Papatonks. Sir Zhua. Eastern Lands forces arrived and await your instruction. Southern Lands forces are here awaiting instructions. Western Lands men have gathered at the Northern Lands border, awaiting instructions. Reports came into the main hall one after the other, with the others now waiting to see what he would do next. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan held his teacup and sipped from it before putting it down with utter nonchalance. Then his eyes shone as he directed in a demanding tone. The first order was to have the three forces return to their bases in 3 days. The second order, to teleport to northern lands in 3 days as well. That makes it 6 days, right? Yes, to transfer so many people also took a lot of sacred stones. Shangguan Feixiong's side, Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. War is always costly, yet you mind such trifles. I'm not. I only want to know if it's worth it. I'll make you feel it is. Zhuo Fan rolled his sleeve and smirked. With the 2 orders completed, here is my final and most crucial command. The outcome of the 4 lands war against the central area will all rest on this. They all shuddered, tense and paying close attention. Everything hanging on a single order? What kind of divine trick will he use? Even the antagonistic Morong, Xue, had to sharpen her ears, very much curious to know my third order. Zhuo Fan watched them gulp in anticipation, and he emphasized every word. All forces are to surround Invincible Sword and strangle him. What? SSS. They all shook and gasped, looking at Zhuo Fan with dumb looks. It was beyond anything they expected from him. Using all the people of the 4 lands in exchange for the strongest, Bailey Yutian. This is insanity. Shangguan Feixiong was in disbelief. Zhuo Fan, aren't you mistaken? You want us to kill Bailey Yutian together? He's strong enough to mow us down by the hundreds of thousands. We'll be wiped out in minutes. For that reason, I needed all other lands to join in killing him. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. He is very strong, but only a man with Yuan Qi. With so many of us, by coming at him one at a time, each casualty we suffer will surely drain him that much more until his head will roll. The instant it does, the battle is ours. Everyone's faces twitched. Zhuo Fan's plan horrifying them to the core, using millions of lives to wear down Invincible Sword, was not something that ever crossed their minds. Zhuo Fan's sudden order had them hesitating. Even afraid, they could already see the mountains of corpses and the rivers of blood, the foul scent of iron in the air, and the muddy ground with limbs sticking out. Morong Xue was outraged at the genocide and rebelled. You fiend! How can you think of something so vile? Throwing innocents against that blade will end in countless casualties. You're a stone-cold demon. This is war. Have you ever seen one without casualties? But the adversary should at least be at their level. Invincible Sword and all those cultivators are way too far apart. You're asking them to die, to become cannon fodder. This doesn't make sense. As long as they manage to wear down even a smidgen of Invincible Sword's Yuan Qi, it makes perfect sense. Even the toughest animal collapses under the assault of too many ants. The 4 lands forces will wear him down to his grave. What would be the point of it all then? To kill just Invincible Sword, so many of us will fall, but there are Bailey Jingwei and the Sword Star Empire around still. How will we fight them? Yeah, killing just Invincible Sword will lead to the loss of nearly 2 lands in terms of life. How are we going to hold our own against Bailey Jingwei? Ling Yuntian nodded as well with a frown. Has Sir Zhua done this only to take that monster's head? Zhua Fan had an evil smile on his face. Yes, all of it is for this. And yes, it all comes down to the Invincible Sword's fate. By taking down him, victory is guaranteed. Whether it's Sword Star Empire or Bailey Jingwei, they're both finished. It's just that simple. Everyone looked in suspicion as he explained Sword Star Empire is unlike the average empire, with the emperor and ministers in close relation and making it strong. They have no flaw, all brought about by Invincible Sword Bailey Yutian. Zhua Fan sipped from his cup once more. It's also why the Sword Star Empire's foundation is resting solely on the Invincible Sword. It's strong because he is. The 9 Sword Kings have utmost respect for the man, while Bailey Jingwei garnered respect, even from the Sword Kings, all because Invincible Sword appreciates his skills. But this invincible balance is taken for granted by Bailey Jingwei and will end up crushing the Empire. Everyone was still shaken up. Why do you say that? He's too greedy and impatient, driven to have the 5 lands united in his time and thus expanded the Empire too quickly. Zhua Fan continued. To attack the 4 lands at the same time, Bailey Jingwei had recruited foreign sword kings in addition to the 5 his clan had, Shangguan Feiyun and Dan Qingshin being among them. This bolstered the Empire's strength, making not even the 4-land alliance able to face them. But he's too hasty to get the 4 lands, emptying the Empire of everything and putting it into the invasions. The Empire now lays void of any military and ripe for revolution. That's why he had the Serene Shores trading killed. They not only had ties with every land, but also dealt with their leaders and other mighty figures that would make use of the empty empire to affect its stability. So before going to war, the company had to be purged. He couldn't allow such a big faction to stay behind and resort to tricks that ruined everything. Thus, Miss Morong, what you've been droning on about, that I killed so many Central Area's innocents, is in fact unrelated to me. Bailey Jingwei used it as an excuse to snuff them before setting out, just that it came a bit earlier. In fact, if it all went as he wished, the damage would have been far greater. I only triggered it and not carried it out myself. Morong Shue huffed. I saw your nature. If you're unrelated, then what about the next one or the next people? Fine, I know our views are in opposition, but let's first focus on the war. Zhua Fan knew appealing to reason wouldn't work on her obstinate kind, so he looked at the oldies. Now that we know the cause of his strength and weakness, we should realize defeating them in a straight-up battle is impossible. But the enemy had given us a golden opportunity. Bailey Jingwei is too conceited and eagerly threw their patriarch into our home. The Invincible Sword is just as conceited too, thinking nothing can stop him, that nothing could hold him, and so he came. This is where our chance lies. Although the Invincible Sword is extremely dangerous, scaring our people the minute he arrives in northern lands, venturing deep in enemy territory is equally dangerous, for he doesn't know if we would all jump on him regardless. Ha ha ha! As for worrying about being too few of us around afterward to fight, I can assure you that Bailey Jingwei is far more worried. Think about it, the Invincible Sword entered deep into our land. But why did he only bring his clan's sword kings? They all frowned, with Ouyang Lingtian speaking out. Is it mistrust? Exactly, Senior Ouyang. Look beyond the overblown confidence Bailey Yutian and Bailey Jingwei constantly project, and you'll find their cautious natures. The people around the patriarch cannot be allowed to have conflicting interests. A man of a different clan would be looked on with suspicion since they might have different motives. Thus, Bailey Yutian would not trust any foreign sword king to fight alongside Bailey Yutian. He fears betrayal, striking at Bailey Yutian when he fights the 4 lands. Zhua Fan's eyes shone, like all was laid out before him. Bailey Yutian thus only has Bailey sword kings around him, while the attacks of our lands are all foreign sword kings, thus making it very easy what Bailey Jingwei truly cares about. He isn't afraid of sword kings revolting, nor the empire's dire straits, but patriarch's death. Yet, even so, he had Bailey Yutian take the lead, a truly conceited and cautious man. Such is the current situation. Those Central Area's armies attacking us don't matter. It won't affect the Sword Star Empire. But what about the death of the invincible sword? With this deterrence gone, the 9 Sword Kings will grow cocky and not listen to Bailey Jingwei, especially the 4 foreign ones, finding themselves free to do whatever. There won't even be a need for us to attack the Central Area. It will destroy itself for us. Such a grand empire is going to fall, making the loss of 2 lands' worth of lives all the more worth it. Now, isn't killing Central Area's invincible sword to our advantage? Everyone stare with open jaws, yet their hearts stirred. Yeah, it won't matter how heavy the loss is. Everything is worth the peace and future of our next generations. Only Murong Shui, per usual, nagged, using millions of lives over one victory? Devil, what do you take life for? There won't be as many deaths if they fought the Central Area's army, but you. I'm the commander, and all I see are assets and their place on the board. Zhuo Fan gave her a cold stare. I only know that this will checkmate Bailey Jingwei. Chapter 1053, Drive. Chapter 1053, Drive. Proofreader, Papatonks. Orders. On the border between northern lands and the Central Area, the forces of the other 3 lands had transferred, with each taking a region and awaiting orders. Western lands experts under Luo Alliance's leadership were the same, anxiously awaiting at the border for the next radical order. The northern wind carried with it a sudden shout. The soldiers landed from up above before each faction, speaking at the top of their lungs whoosh. Luo Yinhai and many other generals from western lands were growing impatient in the commanding tent. Another orders here. I wonder what's Brother Zhuo's plan in the face of such a desperate crisis? We already lost 3 lands, and there's no place to retreat now. With all having been going according to Steward Zhuo's plan, then the third order must be fighting back. Zhuge Changfeng rubbed his beard, his face solemn, his eyes shining with hope. The question is, how outrageous and weird is it this time? Ha ha ha, I'm eager to see Steward Zhuo in action one more time. The others nodded, their brow quivering with excitement whoosh. One soldier landed in the Luo clan's camp, bowing. Grand Marshal of the Alliance, Sir Zhuo, orders half of Luo Alliance's strong to defend northern lands' borders. The man presented a jade slip, one that could only come from Seabright sect, that's it. Luo Yinhai was puzzled. Brother Zhuo had us come here to protect northern lands. If it's just that, the previous preparations mean nothing. We had been better off waiting for death, and happy with it behind our strong defenses. This is unlike Steward Zhuo's style. Lang Wuchang held his chin in doubt. The soldier cupped his hands with a smile. Luo clan head, this order has only been given to you, while the other forces have different tasks. The rest have other orders? What is it? They all cried out, turning heavy. The soldiers scanned their faces and spoke. Grand Marshal ordered for southern lands and eastern lands, along with western lands remaining half troops, to march toward Seabright sect. You are to kill invincible sword Bailey Yutian at all costs. What? SSS. The jaws of Luo leaders hit the ground the same way it did to the oldies back in the sect. The order had been relayed at the other camps just then, and shouts of shock came without stop. The Grand Marshal's third order was pure insanity. He wanted to focus all their efforts into taking down the strongest monster of the 5 lands. Invincible sword Zhuge Changfeng, Lung Wuchang, and Yu Ming stood dumbstruck, then laughed in realization. I get it now. Steward Zhuo is a genius. Ha! Only they laughed, while the rest were still looking like statues, giving them odd looks. What's going on? Why? They looked at them so wild with joy, letting their laughter free, but also sensing sorrow as tears glistened in their eyes. Steward Zhuge, Luo Yinhai began in worry. Zhuge Changfeng shook his hand, and the trio gradually calmed down, turning bleak. Even so many years have gone, yet Steward Zhuo is still the same. We just can't surpass him. Yeah. What's with you three? Luo Yinhai was bemused. Juga Chongfeng bowed to him and sighed. Clan head, you know of us having lost to Steward Zhua back in the day. We've been working these years in assisting clan head also to compete with him. What he did back then, we could do it too, but now we have lost in such a way we finally accept the truth. We will never measure up to Steward Zhua's one aspect for as long as we live. What? Drive. The trio spoke in unison. Zhuge Changfeng continued with a heavy heart. Clan head, what do you think about a beggar being harassed on the street? Luo Yinhai gave him a confused look, but seeing their cryptic smiles, he said, a beggar is being harassed due to his status. If he rises above his station, he will be free of any harassment. Ha ha ha. Yes, riches can lessen your attackers. Zhuge Changfeng continued. Then, clan head, what if a merchant was held down by a politician? Luo Yinhai was more confused than ever, but he looked at the other smile and spoke firmly. Money can buy anything. Since some politician is pushing against him, he just has to find a bigger supporter to fight back. Yes, using one's assets in exchange for even bigger assets and gaining much more, one step at a time. This is what we three have been doing these years. Zhuge Changfeng sighed, his eyes filled with sadness. From harassed beggars, we became merchants. From oppressed merchants, we entered service. But our every progress was met with more suppression, never able to escape it our entire lives. This is who we are. But Steward Zhua is different from us in this tiny, yet crucial aspect. The Luo clan had defeated in 10 years all the other houses and wielded all the power in Tianyu. This is something we could never achieve. Luo Yunhai's heart shook. How is it different? Clan head, how can a beggar never be harassed in his life? Zhuge Changfeng smiled as he asked instead of replying. Luo Yunhai frowned in confusion. Zhuge Changfeng saw him unresponsive and shouted, Clan head, to never be harassed again. One must stand above everyone else. The beggar must become emperor to feel truly safe. How is that possible? Luo Yinhai was baffled. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. Yes, it's quite the fairy tale, isn't it? But isn't our Luo alliance today also a fairy tale to the old Luo clan? Luo Yinhai pondered and then turned solemn. This is where we are different from Steward Zhua. His drive is unlike any other. Lung Wucheng patted Luo Yunhai's shoulder. We never actually accepted when he defeated us back then, since we are no less shrewd than he is. The 3 sages of Tianyu aren't just for show. Only now do we understand that our vision isn't as broad as his. Our horizon is narrow and our drive weaker. The invincible sword is the core of the Sword Star Empire. We knew this, but he's too strong, deterring us from even considering him. The price to pay is just too great, with little chance to succeed. Steward Zhua had set his eyes on him from the start, burning bridges and abandoning the lands so that he could face the core issue. He has such drive none of us is capable of. Having now been made aware of his plan, we realize the truth. A land has around 30 million men, with half meaning 15. Against such a force, Bailey Jingwei had no chance of providing timely assistance, no matter how desperate, while the 2 lands and a half of soldiers will make close to 100 million. Invincible sword is tough, so much so he can handle a land by himself. But what can even he do against the likes of such a combined attack, using all those countless lives against just one? Who would have the nerve to do this? Not even we considered this course before hearing the order. This is also why the Sword Star Empire will eventually collapse. Steward Zhua's order is a masterstroke of the ages. I bet that not even Bailey Jingwei would dream that Steward Zhua would take this action. Luo Yunhai's brow shook. Then he looked at the starry sky with a smile. Yes, you stewards are right. I can still remember the day the clan was made of 4 people, staying in the Veiled Dragon Pavilion, and brothers were coming out to proclaim that the Luo clan will stand at the top. None of us believed him, but now, ha ha ha, Brother Joie is a man who only saw the very peak. There's nothing he wouldn't dare or do. That is my Brother Joie. Luo clan's first steward is our patron saint." The trio nodded in agreement. Brother Joie had us stop too. "Protect us." Lung Wuchang bowed. "It's way easier to fight Bailey Jingwei and Dragon, cleaving Sword King's army, than going to war with a madman like the Invincible Sword." "Yes, you guys sure got the easiest job this time." The soldier spoke with reverie. "It's good to have someone left behind in court. Others, I'd bet, must be sinking in despair from being stuck with hunting Invincible Sword." Right on cue, howls of grief tore at the sky, and endless tears soaked the earth.